everybody, welcome back to the Pylon Show. This is episode number 91. I am Artosis, joined by some fabulous guests, all of which have been here multiple times before. Let's say hello to you guys. First up, TLO, welcome back. How are you doing? I love the beard.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well. You know, just trying to match my look to the current situation, bringing out an old classic, and yeah, happy to be on the show.
Great. Thank you for coming. Cats, how are you doing? Welcome back.
I'm also doing good. I'm very happy to be here.
Wonderful. Jason, how are you doing? I know you're in a good mood. How are you doing, though?
Doing great, man. I'm honestly just excited to have a nice adult conversation about balance.
Okay. Wonderful. And Estrella, thank you for waking up at this early hour in Korea. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Believe it or not, I've woken up at like before 8 a.m. the past 3 or 4 days, so it's going good.
Damn. On purpose?
Kind of on purpose because of these TSL qualifiers for NA, but also kind of just happened that way.
All right. Well, this episode today is going to be one of the more fun ones because in case any of you have been living under a rock, there is a giant balance update on what Blizzard's thinking about the balance, what they're thinking the patch might be, what's going to be in the test mod, and we're going to be going over all that stuff. So that is going to be really fun. That's going to be the main bulk of the show that will start momentarily here. Just to give a quick roadmap, after we're going to be doing This Week in Starcraft after everything this week because we are trying to kind of keep on schedule for TLO here, who is gracious enough to join us. And so we'll be doing, the topic. If we have some time, maybe talk about the GSL groups a little bit. And then we'll be doing the Patreon questions, saying goodbye to everybody. Then we'll roll some clips of the week for you and get into This Week in Starcraft that I'll narrate. But that's how it's going to go. First off, though, I do want to go ahead and thank all of our Patreons, patreon.com/The Pylon Show. We have 410 people supporting the show. So thank you guys, all of you so much. That is so appreciated. That is how this show keeps going. And a big thanks, of course, to our $100 tier people, Manard, Astrofin, Field of Sins, Jerry Wang, Shane, and VDEC. We want to remind people that we have, we're testing and pulling our pre-show banter perk, which is on the $5 membership tier right now. So a lot of weeks, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but on certain weeks, we have everyone show up and they actually connect to everything correctly and their mics work. And then we have the pre-show banter that gets recorded. I don't know if we got it this week or not, but some of them get in there and some of them are pretty damn funny. So you can check that out. And of course, our $2 and up tiers all get the VOD and MP3s early. So definitely check that all out at patreon.com/The Pylon Show. We do have upcoming reward goals. The first one, we're almost there, is to get a pro player, pro Korean on with a translator. And if people like that type of episode, after we try it out, we'll do it somewhat regularly and get some more shows with those Korean pro gamers on here and see how that goes. And then, of course, if we pass that, our next goal is to get Tasis on the show. The expensive man that he is, that's the highest tier goal that we have. So check it out if you want to see Tasis on
maybe
here.
a phone call at least. You know?
Well, we're gonna have to up it another $1,000 to be able to achieve that. But also check out our Matcherino, matcherino.com/The Pylon Show. You can go ahead and create free money for us. You just click on the ad funds thingy and type in the code oatmeal, because April 30th is Oatmeal Cookie Day, which is the best type of cookie. You guys agree?
Yes.
No.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
No.
You guys
No
are not
chocolate.
men of culture like TLO and myself.
No,
That's for
absolutely
sure.
right. The best cookie by far.
I'm really kind of disappointed in you all. What is your favorite type of cookie then?
I feel like you guys are really eager to debate. Like I look at your eyes and you're like eager to jump on us for saying that it's not. It's just not oatmeal cookie. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not it.
Dude, well, oatmeal. Here, let me verify. Oatmeal raisin cookie.
Okay, now you lost me.
Are you kidding me? You were talking about oatmeal cookie without raisins in it? Like, what is that? Are you a horse? Do you eat horse food? What?
Raisins are disgusting. They make you sad.
Who are these people?
What?
My wife
That's-
thinks the same thing, that raisins are gross. Who thinks raisins are gross?
That's when like everyone
Everybody.
gets
Have you seen
everyone
ravens
but
that look like-
Artosis, everyone gets grayed out, and Hello Darkness, my old friend, queues up.
Real quick, what's your favorite cookies? I need to know.
Probably just straight up chocolate chip.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, that's the one, dude.
Yeah, I want to say chocolate chip probably.
Bunch of basic bros over here.
I
Oh well.
don't even like cookies though.
Oof.
I don't
no,
like cookies, said
I like
Cass.
sweets. Yeah, I don't like them that much.
All right. Well, type in oatmeal and give us free money on matcherino.com. All right. That pretty much does it for that. You know what? Let's just jump into the main topic because this is such an exciting one. It's been a while since we've had a balance update, and I feel like this is a much bigger one than many that we've had. But let me just go ahead and we'll pop this open on the stream. And there's like a little paragraph about coronavirus because you can't type anything on the internet without mentioning that that's what the whole world's going through. And then it starts off with TVZ. And it says, though we had concerns with TVZ in last season's map pool, considering the current maps, the matchup looks healthy both from a gameplay and a balance perspective. After last year's big patch, we saw a steep rise in mech strategies followed by a steep decline. Though bio is still the most prominent strategy for Terran, we're seeing a slight resurgence in mech in recent months, possibly inspired by some of the new maps. From the Zerg side, mid-game strategies seem very diverse as well, but perhaps most notably, endgame seems to have improved drastically, with Broodlord turtling seeming like a thing of the past, and scenarios where both sides fight tooth and nail for small pieces of territory commonplace. What do you guys think about that assessment from Blizzard?
I think that's pretty fair. You see from Zerg perspective, you see Lingbane Hydra still, you see Muta play a little bit more, you see a lot more recently pure like Ling Baneling into Ultra styles again, kind of like in the past. So I think CVT is in a pretty good space. We see Terran players doing very well in the foreign scene, Hero Marine, Euthermal, Clem. So I think it's CVT is healthier than it's been in a long time.
Juggernaut Jason also, has been rising. Very powerful. Jason has been rising.
Yeah, has he?
I would put stock on Jason. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. After the
Yes,
patch or
fancy,
before the
expensive.
patch?
Don't matter.
Okay.
What do you think about that assessment, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. Everything seems pretty accurate. The one thing I never understood is why people stop playing mech as much. But when it comes to my own experience with TVZ, I don't play a lot of 6K plus Zergs, so I don't like in my opinion, like the best style you can go versus mech right now is Lurker, Hydra, Viper, but nobody does that on NA. And then the second best would be Swarmhost, and also nobody does that on NA ladders. So
what do people do on any ladder? They just make roaches?
They
Is
just
that it?
go Roach Hydra and run into you at 4 minutes, and then either leave or you win.
I only make roaches against you. No Hydras, Juggernaut Jason. But that's because
true,
he's
you do.
greedy. He's greedy. This man's greedy. Like if you're watching and you're a Sergeant on A, like he's greedy. He fucking takes his fourth so early. And I think that is scary for me. That the Terrans are like keep an over aggressive mentality, I think, over time, or have kept this over aggressive mentality. But I think at some point they're gonna start sitting back more. And I'm actually not sure, like I've seen like Hydra, Viper, Bane, Lurker type compositions like break through, like in high level games. But outside of that, I'm not sure what TLO, enlighten us, please. How do you?
Okay, so I would share that thought a little bit, though we haven't seen it yet, right? But theoretically, if Terran just sits behind his planetaries with like ghosts that have crazy EMPs now, no more Broodlords that are viable. I don't know if you
Liberators,
could
right?
I don't know if you could break a turtling Terran. I actually haven't seen.
And you might think, you can surprise them, but no, because like they would put the sensor towers all over the place. So I have no idea how they wouldn't reposition. It's super difficult to.
No, yeah,
Terrans that do
can't
it partially, I think.
You can't kill a Turtle Terran in any matchup.
That's what I'm saying.
Except for maybe TVP, but after this Oracle nerf, I
So
don't
my
know,
question
man.
is, if you can't kill a Turtle Terran, and you can't trade efficiently against Terran late game, what will Zergs do post patch or even now? I don't know. I just feel like the Terrans aren't doing the thing.
I mean, I think you still have to think a little bit about Terran needs to get to that situation. I think what you're saying has validity if like Terran manages to take like 6-7 bases, but it's not so simple that Terran can just like before base max out and like super slowly take the map. As long as Zerg has like 1 or 2 more bases, I think they're still doing fine. But yeah, like trust aiming for pure, splitting the map. I don't know how it's gonna look like. I don't know how it's looking like right now. We're not really seeing it. There's all these young kids that are just stimming Marines and winning
right out of puberty, just stimming the Marines.
All right. So I guess the TVZ analysis from Blizzard definitely seems correct. Let's move on to the TVP analysis from Blizzard. TVP, while we view TVP to be relatively even and games tend to end less abruptly than last year, we still believe there's room for improvement for this matchup in terms of design. For instance, even though we're seeing fewer games that end abruptly with 2 base tank pushes, a lot of the mid-game gameplay still centers around the threat of this type of push, which tends to lead to one-dimensional mid-games. Any significant changes we'd want to make to impact this matchup would primarily have the goal of reopening it up rather than trying to balance it. What do you guys think about that assessment?
I think like that last sentence a lot.
Jason.
Sorry, I only had one thing to say.
Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
That last sentence, I very much like the fact that they're trying to open up the matchup instead of just balance it. Because I think TVP, although a lot of frustrating things on both sides for both players, it seems like a relatively balanced matchup to me too.
Yeah, I would have to
like
agree
the fact they're doing that.
Okay.
I would agree. There's a typo, by the way. There's a typo at the end. It's embarrassing for Blizzard.
Uh-oh.
The Trang typo?
Yeah.
Max Angel, give us your take.
I mean, I agree. I think it's it seems relatively balanced. I think this mid-game push type of thing, I'd have to say applies more to NA and EU metas than KR, because I'm seeing a lot of macro games in Korea without this type of threat of tank push. There's not that many tank pushes actually in Korea on the ladder and in the GSL, as far as I can tell.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's really not very many at all, at least in GSL. I definitely don't see it very often.
Okay, so it seems like they want to shake up a matchup, but the perspective is a little skewed. It seems like maybe it doesn't need shaking up that much, or are we just unsure of where we're at? Or
balance-wise, it doesn't need fixing, but the idea is it's really hard to explain because yes, Astrea is right. There is different styles on different servers, but it is a lot of the focus still comes down to those two base tank pushes because Terrans don't want to play against Protoss in the late game because they just get so far ahead so early. I mean, I feel like that's what they're trying to do with this patch. We're going to talk about it, but like I said, I don't think it's a necessarily imbalanced matchup. It's just that they're trying to open up the possibilities of builds and how you can expand and whatnot. But it's really hard for me to explain exactly what I think here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll discuss the changes individually.
All right.
I think my perspective is definitely going to be different because I'm used to getting wrecked by Terrans late game on the Korean server, game after game to whatever Maru Kier innovation.
I will say Terran does seem favored late game TVP. I don't know if that's true for you too, Astrea, but that's just the impression I get watching.
I would say
a
lot of European Terrans think it's balanced for Protoss, but I would say at least it's 50-50, at least.
Okay.
I mean,
isn't it that mid to late game is really strong for Protoss, but then as soon as Liberator range is out and you have a decent amount of ghosts, then it kind of flips again?
It depends. Liberator range is definitely really strong, but the way the Koreans use their armies when you go disruptors, you kind of have to go disruptors as Protoss, in my opinion, later on in the game. But then the Koreans are just so good at multi-prong that it's really hard to keep everything together, at least for me.
All right.
Yeah, when you oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when you add in multi-prong, that's where you really get to that high level TBP level. But I guess my point is when you come to those 200 engagements, I feel like in the late game, Terran has a really easy time winning those just because of how good EMP is now. And especially if you get a Raven in there and drop their armor by 2.
It's by 3, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's by 3.
See, I don't even know.
What?
It just kills them instantly. So
It's by 3?
Yeah, let me double
There's
check.
no way. It's by.
Let me double check.
it's either 2 or 3.
Spread propaganda here.
You know what? Here's the thing. You can tell he plays a lot,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
by
like,
3.
that has to be -3.
It's 3.
No, it's not. Are you serious?
Yeah, I just checked
Really?
Wikipedia.
It's really just a number. Like you get the sense for what it is. Like no one's
Yeah.
actively doing the math. You know, like it's a fucking strong ability that you gotta run the fuck away whenever it hits you. That's what it is.
I mean,
So
it
good.
doesn't matter if it's -2 or -3. You wouldn't want to take the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like none of you guys play Terran, so none of you have seen a secret missile on a group of Marines that walk into a tank line. Oh my god,
That sounds nifty.
All right. Let's move on to their ZVP analysis. ZVP. First, the good news. We're seeing a ton of diversity from both sides in the early and mid-game stages of the matchup.
Why are you
From the
laughing so
Protoss
much?
side, we're seeing many varied openers and small refinements to those openers. I've never seen so much glitter on a poop in my life as those 2 sentences. And from the Zerg side, we're seeing greater diversity in mid-game unit composition than we've possibly ever seen in the history of Starcraft 2. However, we do view this matchup as favoring Zerg, especially in the late game, as evidenced by the lack of late game PvZ play in recent months. And after talking to professional level Protoss players, we've identified the most common threads in their complaints about the matchup as a whole. 1, the effectiveness of the Queen in defending early game pressure. 2, the efficiency of the Baneling both as a combat unit and in a harassment role. 3, the inability of clearing creep throughout the mid/late game without necessitating the presence of the entire Protoss army. And 4, the difficulty of late game with a focus on the risk versus reward of the abduct/feedback interaction. What do you guys think of that?
Do you want to go first, Katz?
Sure. I mean, I think we'll go into each one of these by themselves. I think it's a little bit concerning on some fronts, and I agree on some fronts. I mean, the matchup does feel Zerg favored, and it does feel Zerg favored in the late game. I'm not sure that that the approach is as good as it could be, but yeah, we'll talk about that, I guess.
Okay.
So
Feel
what
like-
is Treya? And then maybe I add my stuff in.
Philo's
Okay.
waiting. He's got the 1-2 knockout punch, I think.
I mean, there's a lot of Zergs in Korea right now complaining about actually the variants of openers that have come out with this new adept build. It seems like if Protoss has become smarter in the early game out of necessity, and they're doing a lot of things that are making the matchup.
Yeah, I like that.
Make it sound
Doing a
like
lot.
It's time we get smart, guys. So we're not tiny anymore.
I mean, that's true, though. I have obviously players grow the most when their race is actually worse, right? Because you actually have to optimize things and build stuff. But I think the main thing I agree with is the creep problem. I think creep is too strong on CVP. It's so difficult for pros to clear it against somebody who's really good at it. Theoretically, until pretty late game, there's no way to stop any creep other than like clearing a tumor here and there with a few units, but it's so easy to remake the creep as well. It's not like against Terran where there's Marines and tanks just right outside of the creep, and even if you remake it, it's a big threat to you. But Protoss usually has most of the army at home. There's a few harass units out. Even if you lose a creep, you just send a queen and immediately remake it, right? What I'm more concerned about is like the effectiveness of the queen defending early game pressure. That one I'm a little bit afraid of, because I do feel queens are very strong, but I feel like they need to be extremely strong, but because of Terran, not because of Protoss. And I actually don't know if -1 range is even going to help Protoss at all. Like, I feel queens are just going to be just as good against Protoss, pretty much against oracles and stuff like that, but they're going to be much weaker against Terran. So that's my main concern. And same with Baneling, actually. Like, I feel like they're targeting things that are really important for CVT. Trying to fix CVP, and I know like Banelings are definitely too strong against Protoss, but it's scary for me because of CVT.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to disagree with what you said about the queen change not affecting PvZ.
Archon drops. Yeah, but we'll get to the change, so we can just discuss
We'll
it when we
talk
get to
about
the change.
specific changes in a minute. I just
Yeah.
kind of, I think it's important to look at where Blizzard is coming from, like their opinions on the current state, because it helps us to try to see why things are getting changed.
Framing, yeah.
Yeah. So those are those three matchups. Now they're talking about mirrors real quick. TVT and ZVZ. We view both of these matchups to be in a good place, with TVT especially notable for having slightly more dynamic games compared to last year.
Gonna go with the hard disagree there, Chief.
Yeah.
TVT it's kind of the same problem that we were talking about earlier. Like, there's a very similar thing with TVT where it's really hard to break somebody that's turtling in that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes all the way back to when they last nerfed the Raven. So when they made the Raven cost 75 energy to use an interference matrix, they went like the opposite direction of where they were supposed to go with what they wanted to do to the Raven. Because I think what they were saying is that the Raven in early game TVT is really strong. And that's true. Most people would agree. You see Ravens.
It changed the TVP as well. Like the Colossi, that was a big factor, yeah.
Absolutely. Good point. But for TVT specifically, this is the thing that makes Raven strong in the early game is that turret, especially in the early game, because you can get so much value out of that. The interference matrix doesn't really come into play until you start getting larger numbers of tanks out. So when they made the interference matrix cost more energy, that's great. And I like that change, especially for TVP, because it was a pretty strong ability. But in TVT, it still kills the matchup because the turrets are still too good. So that's my number one complaint, is that it feels kind of one-dimensional because of the amount of build orders you can open with, because it has to include Ravens.
Yeah, hard counters the Banshee as well, right? So
hard counters Banshees, hard counters literally every single opener.
Yeah,
every ground attack.
They should probably do something about that.
So that was the main concern, was the Raven, yes.
But if you read the note here, it says TVT is especially notable for having slightly more dynamic games. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's especially notable. It stands out for having slightly more dynamic games.
Honestly, once you get to the 3 base point, the games can be quite interesting and quite multitask intensive, but yeah, I don't know what the heck this means.
I like that. What about ZVZ, which is not really especially notable for having slightly more dynamic games?
I mean, I'm really happy with CVC. I would actually say that CVC is more dynamic game, has more dynamic games than TVT in general, but maybe not compared to last year. No, I think CVC is a great space. I really like the matchup.
Me too.
Cool. Okay, and then PvP. This is the nice long paragraph, as it should be. We believe PvP has 2 core issues. 1, the volatility of early game and resulting difficulty of holding a natural expansion. The difficulty of... Is that a real word?
No.
Is difficulty a real word?
I don't know.
It is not.
Why is it twice here?
Because they probably copy-pasted the first one, I imagine.
Yeah. Okay, of holding a third. Okay, so the difficulty of holding a third. Ever since the removal of the mothership core, it's just like spell check is just, it's automatically on my browser. I don't know.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah,
Spell
like
check
if
is
I
on your...
type
Oh
things,
no!
Whenever I type shit, it just fixes it as I'm going. So it's yeah. You guys think I can spell shit when I type to you? Are you kidding me? I had to ask you if difficulty was a word. For God's sake.
No. I thought your browser was somehow highlighting this.
Oh
no,
no,
I would have just read it as difficulty. You know, like. Yeah, that's pretty brilliant.
Ever since the removal of the mothership core and its replacement with the shield battery, we've run into some stability issues with PvP. From what we gather, the current general understanding of early games seems to be that proxy robotics facility builds are extremely strong in the matchup to the point of over-centralizing the metagame. This build is also a large part of why holding a natural expansion is so difficult and the resulting games seem to be so volatile. Another prevalent concern is the ability for Protoss to hold 3 bases. In the past, when the key heavy hitters in PvP were Colossi or Disruptors, the defender had a significant advantage in that they would generally have 1 or 2 additional Colossi or Disruptors in their defense due to travel distance. But now that Zealots and Archons are primary mid-game units, with Immortals being much less potent than either Colossi or Disruptors, this travel distance is negated, and the defender often can't make up this difference when slightly behind. With all these thoughts in mind, here are some changes we'll be featuring in the next balance test mod to potentially added to the live game in a future patch. Okay, what do you think about that PvP statement, Estrella?
I'd say it's pretty accurate. You basically always have to account for proxy robo being a build whenever you make a build. And sometimes you kind of just are doing a build that will lose to it because you're just hoping the other person won't do it. And also, it can be quite difficult to hold a third, but it honestly depends on the map a lot. Like Eternal Empire, it's actually not that hard to hold a third in PvP. Or maybe Thunderbird from map pool, but that was quite a unique map.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I'd say it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
I have a complaint. I feel like everyone opens double gate in PvP. Can we just do something different, please?
But how are you gonna fix that?
That would be a hard thing to
I do
change.
like the variety actually that there's like 3 different types of units and 3 different units, 3 different unit like a bunch of different unit combinations like Stalker, Sentry and shit like that. That's pretty cool, but I like it makes me sick. Like it's
but maybe the change they're proposing could change it. Could there be 1 gate expense?
Oh, what was the change?
I haven't thought about that, but
I stopped listening to PvP.
Well, we'll get into those changes now.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Terran is the first one up. The Widow Mine. Okay, first part. The Drilling Claws upgrade no longer grants Widow Mines invisibility. Instead, the existence of an armory will grant Widow Mines invisibility. And attach that, the red laser attachment for Widow Mines will now communicate the existence of an armory instead of the existence of the Drilling Claws upgrade. And the reasoning behind this, Terran players often talk about feeling economically behind, especially in the TvP matchup. While we are open to making changes to Terran economy, a blanket buff is not something we're currently looking at considering the state of TVZ as well as plan changes for Zerg. Though TvP economy is a complicated issue, we believe the primary reasons for Terrans feeling behind in this matchup are changes made to the transition from HOTS to Legacy of the Void. Some key ones include changes to Chrono Boost and Mules, and Widow Mines revealing themselves after detonating, thus reducing the importance of early game detection, which allows Protoss players to take a third earlier and more easily. With that line of thinking and TvP in mind, we're looking to make this change for the following reasons. 1, to encourage more dynamic gameplay in TvP. First, we believe Widow Mines naturally lend themselves to more multi-pronged tactics and drop play over their siege tank counterparts. In addition, because of the increased strain placed on observer placement, we believe this change will create more openings for Terran to drop in general. 2, to put indirect economic pressure on Protoss by increasing the number of potential Terran openers and putting strain on their defenses across multiple bases. We believe this change could encourage more thoughtful positioning of Stalkers as well as force earlier photon cannons, both of which detract from the power of Protoss's primary army. 3, to help ease the transition to 2-2 infantry upgrades. Okay, that was a mouthful. What do we think about this? The only Terran change proposed.
This change relates heavily to some of the other changes that they propose. So I wonder if we want to read those first, or do we want to just talk about this right away?
I would just say I mostly agree with or maybe almost completely agree with their initial assessment. I think that this is a change that they're going back on essentially, right? Like it's just like they made it so the Widow Mine wasn't invisible. I never liked that change to begin with. I thought it was unnecessary. And I thought it would do what it's doing now, which is reverting back to itself. So it's just an issue of balance. I think design-wise, I think this was always the better way. I prefer, like, maybe in 2 years they'll remove the armory.
Get it all the way back.
Circle, yeah.
Okay.
I guess the armory just kind of locks it. The Widow Mine drop to not be super early, like maybe like a proxy Widowmine drop, but it's kind of weird because an armory is so cheap, so I don't even know. If
I think off of a
does any-
gas first, you can still get it at 440 in TVP, but you'd have to
Yeah.
get the gas earlier, I think.
Yeah.
But I guess it's
mean,
just like a slight investment Terran has to do when they don't want to do
Yeah.
it. So, you know,
And
it
it's
seems
and it's
fine.
not a huge return on the investment either. Like every single Protoss opener, if you open Stargate, you have Revelation for the Widow Mines. If you open Twilight or Robo, you have the Observer. So the worst case scenario is you open Twilight, then you throw a Robo down, and you still have the Observer like 10 or 20 seconds after the Widow Mines get there. So it's not like you're gonna have a lot of time where you're just cloaked in the mineral line, not being able to kill anything.
Right,
they're
but
just-
but Protoss won't be able to just like move out with their units that give detection, right? Which is a little bit different.
Well, they don't move out at that point anyways. They wait until the Widowmine drop is either died or they
Oh,
just
okay.
sit at home with their stalkers. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, when they first made this change, it was like one of the reasonings for it, I think, was being more noob friendly. So I guess the armory also does that still, if that is a design concern for them, right? Like because noobs had a lot of trouble with detection. So the Widowmine just being burrowed forever would just be game ending.
Oh, it's gonna
I
be a
don't know.
pain. It's gonna be a pain in the ass for bronze to like Diamond League players that don't build observers on time. But this is supposed to be for pro level play, so it's
But at least it
unfortunate.
helps
but-
out. It helps out the Terran players that always forget armories because they're already gonna have it. So that's nice.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to indirectly make Terrans actually hit their 2-2
Dude,
on time for once.
I'm never gonna forget those upgrades anymore.
They're
Holy shit! I just thought of that.
They're gonna start getting smarter by what was it? By need?
By necessity.
By
It's
necessity,
time, guys. It's time to start playing better.
I don't want to say whether it's a good or bad change, but I think it's actually quite a significant buff in PvT. Like I don't think you can underestimate how big a change that is.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
great, especially for the 7-minute push. If you bring 4 Widow Mines that you now can't kill, it's going to be great.
Most of the time, Protoss don't actually have an observer in their control group, I think. So,
Oh yeah, there's going to be
Either-
a adjustment period for sure.
yeah.
Okay. So overall, are we liking this, or do we have to just keep reading through and kind of hit that at the end?
I might mention it a few more times with some of the other
Let's
changes.
talk
but,
about
yeah.
it later.
Okay. Okay. Let's move on. Zerg. All right.
Zerg.
This is the big stuff, I think. All right. The Queen anti-air weapon range decreased from 8 to 7. The Queen's increased anti-air range was introduced at a point in the game when defending both Liberators and range upgraded Liberators were a concern in early game. But with both map design tightening up to account for Liberators and range upgraded Liberators receiving -1 range, now might be a good time to revert this change to more empower early game air harassment from other races. Our biggest concern is how instrumental large numbers of Queens typically are at dealing with battlecruiser openers, which did not exist in the past. However, if this becomes an issue, our current thinking is that we'd prefer to address it from the battlecruiser side than the Queen side. All right, what do we think about this Queen
All right.
anti-air change?
So first of all, I really do think this affects CVT way more than it affects CVP. I see almost no difference in defense. Like I don't think I'm going to lose more drones to oracles because my queens have less range. Maybe a war prism with 2 archons is slightly more dangerous, but I feel like CVP defense is so figured out against that kind of stuff that it's almost marginal to have 1 less range on my queens. Like either I have my queens in position or I don't. Either I have my roaches in positions or I don't. And but against Terran, it's strange that I'm mentioning battlecruisers because I think battlecruisers, out of all the air harass units of Terran, are going to be least affected by that. When you fight a battlecruiser, usually the battlecruiser, because the battlecruiser has very low range, it's going to be in range of the queens anyway. The only scenario where the battlecruiser is slightly better now is it might escape a few more times with like 20 hit points, but it should never die anyway. So you can be like a little bit more bold. But either I have enough queens to fight the battlecruiser or I don't. It's very you can barely kite the battlecruiser with queens anyway. So very small difference. But I think where it makes a huge difference is against Banshees and against Liberators. Even though they're saying like the Liberator range has been nerfed, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about some spots where it's already awkward getting there with queens against the normal liberator while you're being harassed by Hellions on another side. And I'm also thinking about Banshees from like Clem that already end games with like 50 kills. And people are so good at Banshee control now compared to before the queen was buffed that I think Banshees are actually going to be an incredibly big threat in CVT, and it might lead to Zerg just losing a few too many drones in the early game. It's not going to be the end of the world, but I think it affects CVT way more than CVP.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll completely agree with everything he said. I think that queens against banshees are like a little bit of an extension of the spore, because the spore still has vision. So like the queens can poke at the banshees, but if there's not that, like that's pretty scary. I think that Terran has way more air shit, like Dario pointed out too. In fact, the prism when they changed the prism range, I actually didn't like it so much because I thought what Dario thinks, which is that it's in a good spot. And I think it was a reliable Protoss opener that like Protosses like Petit Drogo really like doing it every day, every game, or like Neep for a while did it every game, right? Like a lot of Protosses would just rely on that as their Terran type of opener that's just solid. And so I was afraid for the Protosses then, not having that as a tool. So yeah, I think that just reels things back in where both units have one less range, so who gives a fuck? But Terran, I completely agree with Dario.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to hit Banshees with a single spore. If you have like two Banshees stacked, and like sometimes you're poking away a little bit with Queen, but I could see people losing quite a few Queens and just drones on the edges of bases now compared to before. And like I'm almost considering either always going for a very quick layer now so I can get an overseer, or going 2 spores per base, but I think that's overkill. But it might just be that out of necessity people have to adjust. But I don't see how it's going to help Protoss very much.
Maybe they have to up the range of vision of the spores or something like that, at least, if they want to go through with this for the Banshees. So the queens can, you can push them out further, or chase them out further.
Helps Medivacs quite a bit too. Actually more, just it's quite easy as Terran to have to be very careful with that. I even wonder if it's going to make, those Hellbat Marauder pushes a little bit stronger, because
it would, of course,
yeah.
That's what you click with your queens for sure, right? Like that's like if the medevac is exposed, that's what you're clicking.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be huge, yeah. That medevac will remain alive the entire Hellbat push. There's a lot of stuff that it opens up this change. So yeah, I'm not a fan. But
and Mutas.
I mean the queen is pretty strong. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, personal grievances. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do my queen pushes against the void rays and shit like that. I feel like queens are strong enough that they open up for like diverse playstyles like early on. Even though I think at this point most people just kind of tend to do the same shit over and over. I think that there's still like maybe barring TLO, of course, but I think that there's still stuff that can be done differently, and I think that this kind of kills diversity a little bit, because like gasless openers or gasless ideas are really like dependent on queens, like hardcore. So yeah, I don't like it.
Stray, what do you think about this? They're saying it's not going to change ZVP much. Do you think that?
I think it'll change PVZ quite a like I don't know how much, but it'll definitely change it. Like even if oracles say survive or kill 2 more drones on or like 1 more drone on average, or get away like 20% more of the time on average or whatever. I think there's like not one exact scenario where it's a buff, but there's a bunch of random times where it'll just happen to affect the game. So
yeah,
you can't really say like it's better for this reason, but like 20% of the time Protoss will have a better outcome or whatever. So
that almost doesn't feel bad if you're the Zerg though. Like you should have had your spore, or you should have had your queens in position. Like it's not the kind of thing that like there's a percentage of games that will favor Protoss in this sense, but it doesn't feel bad. Yeah.
I think as far as defending oracles and like Protoss is skillfully moving their oracles around and like trying to find damage or doing their Archon drop or whatever. I feel like this a 7 range queen makes the most sense in terms of like fairness and Protoss trying to harass versus Zerg defending.
Yeah,
but
I think from a CVP perspective, it's very fair. I also would like agree with that.
then yeah, I would say it affects ZVT more. I'd still have to agree with that though. But I think
Mhm.
it'd be a good change as far as PvZ goes.
Yeah. The first thing that this made me think about was what you guys were talking about with the Archon drops, because I really liked the interaction before they nerfed pickup range.
Same.
And now that the queen range is down by 1, I feel like, oh, that's a that interaction always felt better before. It felt like really skilled and fun to watch and play. Whereas with the additional range, it was like, oh, the Archons are doing even less now. It's like,
Yeah, that's just not a good build order anymore, I think.
yeah.
They nerfed Archon drop like 3 different ways at once. I think they made the
Mm.
Prism 250. They made the War Prism range 5.
Yeah.
I guess
And I
2
really
ways.
didn't need nerfing. It seemed like a pretty stable opener.
Okay, let's move on to the Baneling. Baneling, number 1. Centrifugal hooks, aka Baneling speed, no longer grants Banelings plus 5 hit points. It also has its cost decreased from 150, 150 to 100, 100. Similarly, Banelings originally gained plus 5 hit points at a time when Zergs were struggling in mid-game. Fast forward to today, where the most common piece of feedback we receive from both Terran and Protoss players is the strength of the Baneling in a variety of roles. Internally, we considered a variety of options to adjust either the Baneling or the units that interact with the Baneling in more targeted ways. But because the feedback that we received was that the Baneling was so generally strong, we decided to take a more generalized approach. In initial feedback from professional players, a concern brought up was the difficulty of holding onto 4th bases against a 3-base Terran biopush with this change. As the feedback surrounding Banelings centers around their strength over the course of a long game rather than an initial power spike, we'd like to try decreasing the Baneling speed cost to mitigate this concern.
So the first thing I have to think about is Marine interaction, and I actually don't have the answer to that right now. It's a Marine needs 6 shots to kill a Baneling with 35 hit points, equal upgrades, right? Will it still need 6 versus a Baneling with 30 hit points because of instant regeneration? Because it would do 5 times 6 is 30, right? So does it? I'm just wondering, does it basically not change the interaction with the Marine, or do Marines basically shoot so fast?
But region would also matter in the other scenario, right? It would still be one more shot. Region would come into play in both scenarios, no?
No, because it's 35 plus 1, which is still. But I don't know if Marines basically shoot so fast that it in most scenarios doesn't regenerate hit points, because I know it usually instantly does, but I think if it happens in the same tick, it basically doesn't. So I don't know if it changes Marine interaction or not.
It feels to me like it will hit, like it'll be the same amount, because the heal that Zerg gets is so fast. Like, I know at least in Brood War you have to line up like exactly the same thing, and Marines have like their varied attack speed, right? So that the game doesn't look stupid. So with that varied attack speed, I think almost always it should take the same amount of shots.
Yeah, unless you're stutter stepping and clicking on Banelings as you move back, then you would presumably click with all the Marines at once in some cases.
Yeah, you can do that, and it'll change a bit if like there's some Banelings that got splash damage from tanks and stuff like that, of course. So it'll still help Terran a little bit here and there against Banelings.
So you're okay with this? You're cool?
So the bigger change is CVP again, which I think in this case is attended. Yeah. So if you storm a Baneling right now that has Baneling speed, if it just rolls right through, the Baneling survives with 5 hit points. Now the Baneling will just die to a single storm,
which is huge.
Which is really huge, because so many Banelings connected before, even after being stormed. So I think that's a massive change. And I feel Banelings are too strong, but I also feel like, and I know non-Zergs are gonna give me a hard no here, but I feel like the Baneling is like by far like the best unit of Zerg, right? Like I feel like with all Banelings, Zerg armies are kind of trash. So I'm a little bit worried about a core unit like that getting a big nerf like that. But I think
it's the best unit in the game, man. Straight up, like the Baneling is. It's
pretty
just
good.
Its supply efficiency is so insane. Its damage output is so insane. It changes every matchup. Like
and that's a big issue, right? Because if you look at a true about Banelings, that's a really shit army. But it's not like Banelings are removed from the game, but it'll have definitely a gigantic impact.
Yeah, because right now it seems like Zerg makes a fuckload of banelings and whatever else they want, and then they do their thing. And yeah, that's removing a lot of the Zerg army in almost every case. It's just I don't know. It's pretty scary. It's a scary change, I think.
I think I would have liked a damage nerf, maybe more. For example, I would definitely like probes not to tie it to +2 banelings or something like that. But we'll just have to see how it works out. Like this is a very binary change, right? Before some banelings would connect. Now I guess
you have force fields. You can run away, right? Like there's more of an interaction.
Yeah, like it would be a certain percentage of banelings make it through. Now with the new change, as soon as a Protoss army is very large, I don't know if like basically any make it through. Like it sounds ridiculous because it's only 5 hit points difference, but that's like how tight the timing is of banelings hitting.
Yeah,
it's actually a really big difference because the way Storm works is it does. I'm on Wikipedia. It does 10 damage every 0.41 seconds. So after it does like 3 ticks of damage or whatever you want to call it, it'll explode. Whereas before it was 4. It takes like 10 damages for a baneling to die. So it's gonna die. I don't know. Is it 33% faster to a storm?
Oh,
It's gonna die a lot faster.
25% quicker it dies to storm, I guess.
I think it's more than that.
I think I was trying that earlier. I think Wikipedia might be wrong how that works.
I think Wikipedia might be wrong too, but
I wonder
do know
what the relationship. I mean, there's so many different units you can relate them to now. Like, what about tank splash damage? Is that going to kill more banelings now? Even
I tested, it doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No.
It barely doesn't. What does it do?
It doesn't really like it. There will be more hit points, like banelings that have 5 real hit points, but it won't there's not like another circle of splash that like explodes.
Yeah, I mean it still matters because like if they're 1 hit point or 1 hit away from the rest of the Marines versus 2, like that'll make a
I mean of course it always makes some difference.
Yeah.
You also got to combine this change with the fact that they're the Widowmine change, because this is gonna very likely be the return of Biomine, because if we go back before that Baneling nerf, Biomine was probably one of the more common styles you would see, and of course now Widowmines are going to be cloaked without even needing a tech lab on the factory. So I think we're really going to see a lot of that come back, and I'm really happy about that. I really miss playing Biomine.
I hope they buff the mutas then or something.
Yeah,
so
they're going to have to keep looking at it.
We too can play, so that we too can play Biomine.
Wait, why did Biomine stop getting played after the Baneling buff?
When did Bio? I mean, I still see it, but yeah, I go mute.
I don't think it. I mean, in the later game, I think you typically see people open up like 2 or 3 tanks and then go into mine. But I'm thinking you can maybe just start with mines now and just get an armory faster. I don't know. It's definitely gonna mess around with it a little bit.
So, is this a good change or a bad change?
I think it's a good change in the sense that it's targeted at the right unit. I'm not sure if it's a scary change because the unit is so very central to Zerg, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, perceptually, the Baneling is maybe the strongest or one of the strongest units out there.
And it's a really strange unit because like either it doesn't do anything or it kills an entire army. So like moving away from just like very Baneling heavy play, I'm very happy about, but I think that might require some compensation. For example,
lurkers maybe.
Like I feel like lurkers, but lurkers are already very strong. Like I always feel like if only Ultralisk would be viable in CVP,
cool.
we could open up the matchup so much and change things for the better if there would be like an actual cool ground army that is mobile that can be played against Protoss rather than either like turtle behind like lurkers or brood lords, so I make it like an absurd amount of banelings to have something that is supply efficient, right? That's that's the main issue of Zerg. If you have a 200 army versus 200 army in CVP without banelings,
if Microbial Shroud was a little bit more like Dark Swarm, then you'd be talking.
Do Ultras suck versus Protoss as much as they suck versus Terran?
The Immortal is very powerful.
They suck a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have
you guys ever realized that a lot of the things that are sad about StarCraft 2 come back to the Immortal being a stupid unit? Right? PvP is ruined. You can't go Ultras against them. It's like really sad.
Yeah. I mean, on this change, I think TLO hit the nail on the coffin. It's very binary, and I don't really like it when there's when the interaction is made so that only one side has a say in the interaction or so, like, because right now if you land your storm, the banelings should die, right? Like that's not, that's not that cool. So yeah, that's my grievances with it.
I did feel it was kind of silly before. Like if you walked on creep, there was no point to even have storm because all it would do is change the color of the banelings that hit your like, do I care if they're like damaged or not when they hit my shit? Like,
but you have more tools, is my point. Like if you have force fields and army, you know, like
isn't the more HP good though if you're M moving the banelings? So if you like M move the banelings into the army has to kill the banelings first before they explode.
Yeah, but it would die in one shot anyway to pretty much everything off the round through a storm.
Yeah.
I think that maybe decreasing the damage slightly would be the way of the Banes or something. Just so that they're not, you know, so that they still hit stuff.
Increasing the damage to the baneling. Okay, you're a psychopath.
Decreasing.
Oh, okay.
instead of.
No. Can you imagine?
Yeah, if banelings without upgrades could one-shot probes, that would be great.
That would be great.
Oh my god. No regret, GSL champion. Okay, let's go on to the thing that I know that you guys are most excited about, the Infestor change.
Oh yeah.
Infestor, microbial shroud no longer requires an upgrade. In general, when trying to craft novel abilities, we try to tune them towards being powerful. However, with the perception of Zerg last year, we tried to be more careful. This change is one further step we'd like to take towards ungating the power behind microbial shroud.
Even its final form.
We're open to future alterations should we see the need. So this tells us, I just want to analyze what that just said.
Yeah.
The reason why microbial shroud seems so bad is because there was a perception of Zerg being strong last year, so they had to be careful with it. What do you guys think? Is this the greatest change in the world?
I mean that's accurate, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
I don't think it's the worst reason to make it bad. I think it was just useless, right? And that's the problem.
Yeah, like I think the reason why they did it like that is okay, but I feel like they could have maybe just made it slightly more useful a bit faster. Like the fact that it won't require an upgrade anymore, I think we will see it like sometimes now. You know, there might be a few cases against in CBT even where I see liberators and throw down a microbial shroud now. It's not gonna help me against carriers. It's gonna be like edge cases where suddenly there's a few air units in a matchup that's probably not CBP. I'm gonna make a microbial shroud. But it's, you know, maybe even CBC against mutas, there's going to be a random microbial shroud and like a timing push against mutas now instead of like.
I still haven't seen it cast in a pro game, so I'm excited that maybe I could finally see it. I mean, I feel like all it does is help me know where to cast Psystorm, but.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's not gonna.
It's bumper lanes for my splash damage. You know, it's like right here. Okay.
Do you know what this change is? This change is you walking into a McDonald's, ordering a Big Mac, and them just sliding you over a bucket of shit, and then saying, "Whoa, it's free." Like I'm not gonna eat it. Stop. It's not gonna work, dude.
It doesn't work like that, man.
I have a question here, by the way. When you cast Microbial Shroud and Phoenix pick up units that are under the Shroud, does it work? Does it apply or does it not apply?
Fear Drown.
I don't think it would. Oh, that's such a good. Right? Well, ground attacks can no longer hit them.
Yeah.
And now it's air attacks hitting it. I don't think it would do anything.
Technically outside of the Microbial Shroud is.
I think so. Yeah.
It might not. Like I don't know if the Microbial will apply like a pillar, just like. To every crown unit there, like it depends how it's coded, right? Like
yeah, but it's visually it seems as though as if.
I mean, visually it doesn't matter, right?
Well, it matters if you're designing a game.
Yeah, but you know, come on, we all know that.
We all know they're not paying attention to that
shit. We all know they don't have that many developers.
Yeah, fair.
Well. A wonderful change. Thank you, Blizzard. Hey, realistically, they should continue to buff it until people actually use it, I think. Like,
oh, absolutely. We're just giving them shit. It's just this upgrade is funny because it doesn't have
like, you know, like once every 100 games you run into the offbeat Protoss that is doing the the carrier rush, and you can hit him, before the storm and before the it's like there's no way they can afford it. I've researched that shit. Like,
I had a really sad game where I tried out Microbial Shroud. I had pure Hydra against pure carriers, and there wasn't even Stormmind. I still lost.
Did they just run away?
No, yeah, because interceptors have 2 attacks, so it turns out an interceptor that does 2 damage is still better than Hydra.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
I would think that would be the one situation where it's really good.
Yeah, I was like,
in that
this is
situation,
working. This is working, and then nope, still lost everything.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's my experience too. I've like won a fight or like felt like I was winning a fight, and then I'm like, okay, well, I don't have anything left either. So
yeah,
the rematch just kills you. Yeah.
And all I did is not kill interceptors and lost Hydras, so it's still not that great.
Yeah.
All right. Microbial Shroud, everybody. All right, last Zerg change here. Creep Tumor. Armored tag removed. Light tag added. This experimental change is intended to promote interactivity with Creep. It targets Adepts, Oracles, and Hellions and puts greater importance on the Zerg to defend their Creep Tumors. This is one of the changes we're more interested in feedback for, and we're especially curious as to how much it would impact the creep clearing minigame of Terran and Protoss.
So I think once again, this is a change that's marketed like it's a CVP change, but it actually changes CVT more than CVP. So yeah, it'll be a little bit harder to make like the first tumor against like the first adapter too, but I don't think it matters. As soon as I have circling speed, I can spread creep. Either an adepts,
That is busy doing something else too, right? Usually.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, it's going to kill a few tumors more in early game, but not really as soon as Zerg adjusts. And, Oracles already kill tumors pretty fast anyway. So what I'm left with is Hellions are going to kill tumors instantly, and Hellions are going to kill tumors accidentally. With being a light, suddenly I need to be super careful about my queen, not accidentally being behind a tumor when it's fighting a Hellion, and then the creep tumor just dies to queen. I really don't think it's gonna make clear and creep a lot easier for Protoss, especially other than in the very early game. It's not like we're gonna see like adept squads around the map like clear and creep tumors. I don't think that's gonna be a thing because they're just gonna die anyway.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Astray.
I have to agree with that. They're nerfing creep at the wrong stage of the game in PvZ. It's too strong in the mid and late game, not in the like. Oh, my first adept got there to kill the first creep tumor. That's not really what needs to be changed.
What they should do is change Revelation to an ability that clears creep. It's like Mr. Clean or something.
I mean, they are doing that.
That's what they're trying
if
to
you if you read the notes a little later.
Oh, really?
We'll get to that next.
We'll get there.
Oh, no.
Any other thoughts on the creep tumor change?
What was I going to say? Oh, I might start opening Raven again in TVZ for a while, see if it works any better. Just to be able to clear creep. And the Queen, I mean, if they go through with the Queen range nerf, Ravens might be a little bit easier to dodge.
Yeah, that's actually quite big for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit concerning. I don't know how big of a change it will be. Like, I haven't actually seen the Hellions melt the creep tumors. You can still protect creep tumors, I imagine. But
somebody in my
but
Twitch chat said it would take 4 shots. Sorry, 4 shots to kill a tumor after the patch.
And it was what before? Do you know?
I think 7.
Okay. I mean, it's not super unreasonable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fine, but I don't know that.
But like realistically, it might even be that it changes from like 3 from like 6 to 3 or something. Because like if you're shooting a tumor that's in production, it doesn't have full hit points, right? So and also there's hit points running up versus being attacked, so it might even have a bigger impact than just like the pure easy math of that. Because suddenly like a single Hellion could just kill a tumor instantly, right? Like even after it already started making.
Yeah.
Like producing for a little while. So I wonder if you're even gonna have like Hellions on like both sides of creep or something like that. It's suddenly you can like you basically spread out your Hellions and you like keep scanning the tumors and you don't need to have like 6 Hellions to kill a tumor that's almost done. You just have like 3.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Protoss. Nexus. New ability, battery overcharge. Effect. Overcharges a target shield battery, increasing its shield restoration rate by 100% and causing it to regenerate 100 energy over 21 seconds. It will cost 75 energy, cooldown of 0 seconds, range 8. This addition is intended to generally reinforce Protoss's defender's advantage and help Protoss players stabilize in PvP, both on 2 bases and on 3 bases. The initial numbers for this ability were specifically designed with PvP and proxy robotics builds in mind. As a testament to the strength of this ability, a Stalker being restored by an overcharged battery will often survive over 7 volleys from a typical 4 Stalker, 1 Immortal Poke off of proxy robotics, up from 2 volleys, from 2 volleys to 7 volleys when compared to a uncharged shield battery. This allows a defending player with 2 Nexuses to leverage their Nexus energy as a key resource in defending against aggressive attacks, granting them the leeway to build fewer shield batteries and provide them with time to reposition their units while the opponents bounces back and forth between their main and natural. Against typical 2/3 base aggression in PvP, we see this ability as a powerful form of defender's advantage, effectively quadrupling the effectiveness of a shield battery, allowing it to restore 1,200 shields. However, this ability still has counterplay in the form of... Wow, this is a long explanation. Counterplay in the form of bursting down the targeted shield battery, such as with corrosive bile, banelings, or simple focus fire, if it is insufficiently protected. Sieging the Protoss base, such as with siege tanks, lurkers, or disruptors, backing off until the effects of the shield of the battery overcharge are over, or an EMP round. We view this addition as having the most impact on PvP because options 1, 2, and 4 are generally not as valid for the current typical mid-game PvP army. Typically not as valid. Yeah, the EMP is definitely not as valid for the PvP army. At the same time, we also expect effective use of this ability, especially against Zerg all-ins, typical mid-game Zerg attacks, and Terran attacks when tanks and ghosts aren't involved. We're also aware that this new ability will draw some obvious comparisons with Pylon Overcharge, but we believe there are 2 key differences. First, unless you get extremely creative, you will not be able to offensively battery overcharge your rush your opponents. Second, defending harass, especially Terran drops, will require additional commitment, both in the form of units in position to help support the battery and the investment of building the battery itself. Of all the changes in this update, this is the one we're looking for the most testing and feedback about, both regarding its effectiveness in each matchup, especially PvP, and how we should tune the numbers. After reading all that, I feel like I forgot how to read now. Okay. what are we thinking on this one?
I'm just gonna say it.
What do you? Huh?
I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. We're all thinking it. If anybody hits me on ladder and builds a Nexus in my natural and overcharges a freaking shield battery at the bottom of my ramp, I'll ban you from everything. Okay? Go on. You guys can continue.
So if I'm reading this correctly, it said it quadruples the effectiveness. That's because it's regenerating 100 energy and it doubling the restoration rate. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Does it say it quadruples it? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know that
it quadruples the amount that it heals, right?
Like
no,
if
it
you
doubles,
would,
I
if you
think,
would,
Diamond.
if you would be fighting like for the whole 21 seconds, it will have healed 4 times as much energy.
Is that what they're saying?
Is that?
I'm not sure. It's weird, but I saw Big Gabe testing it, and what it seemed like is it basically gives you enough energy that it sustains it healing throughout, more or less, for itself. You know, like I probably like the damage is like how much damage you're taking is important, but it seems like it basically, I don't know, like the way I was thinking about it is it's like an extra shield battery basically.
No, it's like three extra. It's 3 extra.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Does it actually quadruple?
Like let's say you have the scenario where you have 1 shield battery, you get rushed in PvP, and your shield battery would run out of money, run out of energy.
Mm-hmm.
compared to that, the new shield battery is 4 times as effective because it'll heal twice as fast, and with it would also recharge 100 energy throughout its 21 seconds as well. So it would have 2 charges instead of 1, and it will heal twice as much in that time.
So your new
Healing
strategy,
cost.
Estrella, is
Is it
Go on.
is it quicker restoration or is it more shields per mana point? Which one is it? I'm a little bit confused.
It sounds like more shields per mana point to me.
Yeah.
There's no
Okay.
way I'm- There's no way we're reading the whole
That would
thing
make more
again.
sense because if it's just quicker, it's like
That's not 4 times, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a random
Sorry.
question. If you have like a Nexus in your main with 75 energy, could you overcharge a thing at your third? Like, is it fixed
No.
to each Nexus?
No,
Okay.
that's not. No, Roddy was testing it. That was on Reddit as well.
Okay.
So
Oh,
apparently
really?
you can only use, and that's super unintuitive. I mean, that's probably something that they'll tweak. But no, you can only overcharge with the Nexus that's nearby the shield batteries.
Oh, that's stupid. What?
So what's
Then
the
how
range
is
of
your
that?
fucking main Nexus energy going to help you against an immortal push?
It won't. It won't. So it will. Like the answer is it will after they think it through and change it because it's,
Yeah, they'll change it.
But wouldn't it, if you make it global, that would have like some pretty crazy implication for like mid and late game, right? Like suddenly you have 4 Nexi that can like overcharge any battery on the map.
Yeah.
Well, someone proposed on Reddit. Someone proposed a solution that was simple enough. I personally don't like all these clauses, but I mean that's where they've put themselves with this one. But like maybe you have to have a Nexus, kind of like how you have to have a gateway for quicker warp-ins. You know, you have to have a Nexus near the shield batteries, but it doesn't have to be the Nexus.
I'm not even making that point, but like I have my 4th base as Protoss, and I make 3 shield batteries, and with my 3 other Nexi, I can just overcharge 3 shield batteries, and nobody can attack me because those are nuts.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna tell Max Angel. Just make 1 immortal, like 3 Nexi, make 1 immortal, 1 shield battery, and then I don't know, 1 warp prism to move your immortal as depending on where the army is attacking you.
You could just give it like pretty high range. So basically, it has so much range that your main base can overcharge shield battery in the natural, but wouldn't be able to overcharge like a battery on the 4th.
That is but that's terrible design. That is really sloppy. Like they will be super against that. In fact, I'm not sure. Like when you add stipulations, they are very against it. Like it has to be very intuitive.
But I thought it has stipulations right now.
It does. That's already a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They should just make it
I wager that's already a problem. Yeah.
Well, that would be really funny though if they made it like just a big range, so then you could put a Nexus at your opponent's third to do a proxy, like a proxy battery rush of some sort.
I'm gonna quit, man.
Imagine if it has global range. Like, what about? Oh yeah, okay. You were saying it should have like Nexus, like gateway.
So that's adding another layer of text.
But would it have to be like a Nexus energy field, or could it also be a gateway energy field? Because usually those are the same.
Usually those are the same. That's what I'm saying. You have to add a new rule. That's just the problem, is to make the ability like not stupid. They'll have to add more rules, and then that complicates the game. That makes it so that it stops being as intuitive. But yeah, it can't be gateway because they're not trying to make the Turkey Dano invincible.
It feels like they're trying to like tippy toe around the fact that they just don't want to nerf Chrono Boost. Like, if you want people to save up 75 energy on each Nexus so they don't Chrono things, just nerf Chrono Boost. Like,
I don't think that's what they're going for, though. They're specifically trying to nerf more proxy immortal in PvP, at least according to their text.
Oh yeah, it's for PvP.
Yeah, but I don't like that because I think it makes the other matchups less dynamic. Like especially for me, like I do all kinds of weird pushes against Protoss, and like with all kinds of early timings. None of that is just gonna, none of it.
Can I say?
Yeah, massive nerf to Bly.
To Bly, yeah, Bly is fucked. Like with this, Bly is, done. And Bly is fun to watch, and no regret is fun to watch. That's what I'm saying. Like they're nerfing the wrong place, I think.
TLO is right about I think the global thing would be way too strong against all.
Okay, can I just have an intermission here? Because somebody in chat was telling me and so I loaded up a Starcraft game. I first used the Legacy of the Void unit tester, but sometimes shit is wrong there. So I opened the game, played against the eye, neuroparasited probe, made a Templar, have Banelings. When you storm Banelings, they don't insta regenerate hit points compared to when you shoot a Baneling. So it will still be 3 ticks. It will be 3 ticks, not 4 ticks. You're wrong. I'm right.
Damn. Wrecked guy in the chat. Damn.
Correct, guy in the chat. Damn.
That's in the chat, boys.
Yeah. Storm doesn't trigger the insta regeneration. Actually, banelings. Yeah. If you shoot them, they do, but spells don't do it. And only attacks do it. And so that's super weird, but turns out I'm right.
I was curious about that because I knew you were right also, but I didn't know why.
Yeah, same. Like whenever Dario says anything, I'm like, well, that's gotta be right. But I'm usually like, what?
Damn.
Anyways,
all right.
Back to shield batteries.
Now that we are mourning guy in the chat. Yeah, back to the shield battery.
Poor guy in the chat. Say hello to my queens when you get there.
So,
but yeah, that was actually kind of important because that really does. So Storm does.
Yeah, no, that makes the biggest difference. They used to die to storms. I remember. I was there. So, yeah, Astray, you were saying global would be too strong for this?
Yeah, I think it'd be too strong. Like,
wait, what? If there was a Nexus requirement also, like a Nexus nearby
if like
requirement?
the Nexus in my main could overcharge the Nexus at my third while I was getting all in by someone, I think that'd be too much.
Oh,
but I think actually the change as it is right now would
probably,
I want to say it would be enough to make the proxy robo quite a bit weaker, because you just one overcharge lasting 21 seconds is actually quite a big deal. I think it might be enough as it is right now.
Oh wait, so when it says range 8, is the shield battery have 8 range in that situation? Or does the Nexus, or does that mean that the Nexus has 8 range?
I think the Nexus has 8 range.
So it is locked to the Nexus then.
Yeah. I think so. That seems to be what it is. Like that.
It could be
that
if
the shield battery has 8 range. Like, what the fuck are we doing? That would be.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sasha's a big fan of the balance changes, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Any other thoughts on battery overcharge?
So, I guess if it accomplishes its goal, it's a good change. If it doesn't, it's kind of just a bad change.
Well, the problem is not that it accomplishes its goal. Like, it seems as though as if it will accomplish its goal. It's that it accomplishes other things as well, potentially, So I don't know if it's too good defensively against, say, Zerg or Terran or other. Like, I'm really concerned. Like, we were joking about the Immortal or just like shield batteries, but like, really, if you can do that, like, just have a shield battery at each base and be kind of just safe.
Yeah.
Like with minimal units, like that opens up.
Yeah, like think about marine traps as well, right? Like a Terran trap. Suddenly, like one shield battery just completely shuts that down. That would be
one shield battery and one unit, right? Like one immortal is really, or one stalker to kill the medevac or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of goes the opposite of the whole Widow Mine buff too. Like, great, I have Widow Mines that can burrow without being seen, but you have a friggin' shield battery attached to a nuclear reactor now, so I'm not gonna really be able to do anything.
The one thing it wouldn't help against though is Widow Mine drops.
That's true.
It actually heals so fast, the units don't actually.
Hellions are going to be really sad about that.
That would be cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do agree with the idea of fixing PvP, but I really feel like they need to be very careful with what they're doing with the shield battery there.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it plays out. I mean, they are careful in the wording, right? Like that's the one that they're looking at. We'll see how it plays out, I guess.
Cool.
Sasha says she wants to get in on the call.
Yeah, have her. Matt, get her in here.
Okay. Have her join the Pylon Show Discord, one of the voice channels, and I'll move her in.
All right.
She'll take like 3 or 5 minutes, I think, something like that.
Okay. While Scarlet is connecting, let's move on to the Oracle, I guess. Oracle, Revelation energy decreased from 50 to 25. Revelation cooldown increased from 2 seconds to 10 seconds. Revelation duration decreased from 30 seconds to 15 seconds. So half the mana, half of the amount of time, and then you can only cast it, every 10 seconds. This redesign of the Revelation ability is intended to grant it improved utility for clearing creep tumors. There are many subtle implications with this redesign, but a key one we'll be looking out for is how much more effective Revelation will be at detecting Widow Mines, Banshees, and Dark Templar. As a precaution, we've preemptively increased the cooldown of this ability to make it more difficult for a single Oracle detect multiple spread out cloaked units. This change also interacts directly with our proposed Widowmine changes, and we're hoping the net result falls in favor of the Widowmine. Finally, we'll be flagging this change as another one we're especially looking for feedback on, and we're likely to tweak before it hits live. I have to say real quick, the ones that they are saying, like, we really want feedback on this one, I wish they wouldn't do that, because then everyone fucking whines more about those ones, and it's more likely that they get, whatever. But I don't like that wording being thrown in there. Listen to the feedback on all of it, but don't be like, guys, we're afraid you might not like this one. Anyways, what do you guys think about this Oracle change?
I like it.
I
Yeah, me
dislike
too.
it. Uh-oh.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Thought I'd have more backup there. Shit.
So I'm actually liking it for selfish reasons. So I think it's fair that oracles can take care of creep a bit more. But what I like about it is, I think Revelation is so long, and it's so annoying when part of your army is tagged. And by forcing basically Protoss to tag you more often, the oracle exposes itself more often. So I actually have more chances
to find you.
And they have to find you. So you have a chance to actually take out oracles more frequently that try to tag you. And I always hated how long Revelation lingers, even though it's not as long as it used to be. It reminds me of Warcraft 3. There's this stupid ability from Night Elf, and you're just revealed for like 3 minutes straight or something like that. I think like people having a lot of vision like for free is always a bad thing for RTS. So I'm actually very happy about that going on.
Same.
Okay, let me
And
explain my
it'll help
reasoning a
with the
little bit,
dynamics
though.
of the late game as well, because for the same reasons, right? When there's Vipers involved, such like the Oracle has to expose themselves, and they have to tag the army more often. Because if the late game like started favoring or Protoss or something like that, you want more of those dynamics, dynamic situations where both sides have an opportunity to do something. And yeah, I want to segue into the High Templar change with that.
Okay.
Because that's fucking
So-
nasty. Well, Max Angel, yeah, you guys.
So the thing about the Oracle in TVP especially is it's kind of like the tool that Protoss has used to push a turtling Terran so that your Tempest can get extra range. Because you're not going to send observers into a turtling Terran because they're just going to kill them. They don't have enough vision for that. So with 15 seconds, that is a really short time. But the thing about the Oracle is that I've literally never seen an Oracle fly in and reveal a Terran army and have it not just die immediately after. So it's like every 15 seconds, you're going to have to build a new one and send it in over and over. So what I would have liked to see with this is maybe give Revelation a longer range, like maybe 1 or 2 buff there, just to make that a little bit easier to actually be able to get it without losing the unit. Would be pretty cool.
They died to Vikings?
They die to you not even looking and your units just like auto killing them.
I feel like that's just bad, but like that they could do something about that.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure. Unless it's the Vikings, right? Like if the Vikings are,
I think if the Viking, like if you have a sensor tower and you see it coming, you can kill it while it reveals it.
Maybe the sensor tower is the issue there.
Maybe, yeah. I just think it's funny that every time an Oracle tries to reveal me, it explodes immediately after. So,
well, what do you think, Max?
Yeah, I think it's a good change in the mid game. I'm not sure. It's definitely I'd say a slight nerf in the late game against Terran and Zerg. But I think overall, I'd have to say it's a good change. I wouldn't mind maybe 1 more range, but it's probably fine as it is. It often dies to like Vipers versus Zerg, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we actually have Scarlet joining us now. Scarlet, are you there?
Oh, she just muted.
She's not there.
She was here a second ago. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. All right. Well, I guess
Hello?
we move on. Oh, Scarlet, hello.
Yeah. Hello. What's up?
Hey, welcome. We are going through the balance changes. So far, we've read down. We only have the High Templar left, so I guess we'll jump into that and then talk about the whole thing as a whole, and you can give us your feedback on the stuff. So,
All right.
real quick, the last change that we have in here, High Templar feedback range increased from 9 to 10. When we ask professional level Protoss players why they're reluctant to go into late game, the most common response is that the feedback/abduct interaction currently favors Zerg. We believe increasing feedback range to 10 is the healthiest way to balance out this interaction, as it would allow High Templars to more effectively zone out Vipers whose abduct range is 9. In the past, we would have been cautious about bringing feedback range closer to EMP round range, but with the new enhanced shockwaves upgrade, we feel more comfortable making this change. Yeah, there we go. So that's the feedback change. What do you guys all think about that?
Yeah,
Cool.
So,
I don't like it. I think that it's fine, like where it's targeted. I think that it's like a good thing, a good starting point. But I think there's more elegant solutions. I never like interactions where one side has all the say in the matter. And this is just gonna kind of make it weird because like the High Templar it's like a turn-based game almost where the High Templar gets the first action. Over the Viper, right? But it doesn't quite kill it, so Zerg just goes and gets more energy and then comes back again, and gets transfused. And I don't know, it just seems like it would be a weird, awful dance. I would much rather see them keep the range and do something like up the threshold that was lowered before, if they want to look at that area, right? Like from 50% damage to 75% damage or something like that, to where it can actually punish and kill Vipers or miss and get abducted. Like more dynamic, essentially.
Okay.
I would kind of disagree with that.
Mm.
I much prefer this kind of change to what it was in the past, because Vipers, they're very expensive actually. It's a 200 gas, and just being able to instantly die to feedback.
No, but I'm not
if it-
saying exactly what it was in the past. I'm saying like like 75%. Before it was 100%, right? So you would still have the
Yeah.
option to like not be a full energy Viper and not die and still get
Mhm.
abducts or blinding cloud. What I don't like about this is that it resets basically. It's like, it like cock blocks the Viper from the mothership or whatever, but then it's like, okay, then what? It's just like nothing changed kind of thing.
10 range is pretty massive. Like I do think feedback is a little boring in the sense that it just stops interaction. In general think feedback should just not be a thing. It should be replaced with something else, and Vipers shouldn't be a thing. But of course, at this point, that's too late. But 10 range feedback, I don't know if can Zerg ever abduct anything anymore at that point, other than I guess if you outposition Protoss, of course. But
yeah,
Right
here's
now-
where the revelation thing is kind of nice. Like it's like maybe
Yeah.
you can find an opening, but that's what you're looking for, is for them to not be paying attention or have vision.
Even now, it's very hard to get a abduct off if you're revelated. So I think this
Yeah.
does come down more to the revelation change than anything. Like if they have vision of you, then it's completely on them
Sure.
if they get abducted. Like they can
Yeah,
easily
fair.
pull back the army behind the High Templars, especially if they have a mothership, and then you just have no chance to get an abduct. So I think it comes down more to the revelation change.
So you
But-
think the revelation changes, but that's a nerf to Protoss. So
Yeah, perhaps.
I mean, like in that interaction for sure, right? In that stage.
Yeah, in that interaction specifically, sure.
Yeah, I would say the revelation changes a buff against the Widowmine stuff, but yeah, a nerf against the Zerg stuff in general.
Yeah. So I think if you want to give the HT power back and make the interaction more meaningful and fun and dynamic, I think you go for like upping the damage threshold so that it can kill stuff. It can die. There's more interaction. I just fucking hate it when it's like one side gets all the say. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say two changes I've actually been kind of wanting for a while that I think might
Yeah.
be better than this?
Yeah.
One, I think the main reason the mothership always gets abducted is because of how slow its acceleration is. I think giving it just a little bit more acceleration would be a better change, for instance. And also, the other thing that just annoys me late game is when Zergs spawn 20 changelings and you have to click them all individually. I think
that's how we see things. It's like
Yeah, it's impossible to see anything without change things late game
Yeah.
now. Like it's our only way of seeing where the Protoss, because late
that's our
game,
revelation. Yeah.
yeah, late game the Protoss has so much more say in the positioning on the map. Like Zerg has to fight the main army with spores. So for the most part, other than your run by, you're sitting in a defensive position the whole game. So you need the changelings to see, especially with recall from the Protoss. Like you need to see where the Protoss is coming from, or you can never defend your bases. So if you can't use changelings, like I don't know how you're gonna be able to scout.
Didn't even get to finish my thought.
He's surrounded.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Here's the thing. Would it literally be the worst thing in the world for Abduct to be able to not abduct a mothership? Is that just the most game-breaking change?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
because
Yeah,
everything's
they've-
invisible. Okay,
Yeah,
with
they proposed it. You would have to
we've-
dive into the mothership, which is just, then you're diving into Storm and into all the Protoss
Yeah.
army. Yeah.
the main problem with this is that Zerg doesn't have reliable detection late game. Not at all. Like your only real detection in your mobile army is the Overseer. And if you're running in, like, it's so easy for the Overseers to die. So when you're playing TVP or PvP, you have Revelation or Scan, right? So you're not
Yeah.
really risking nearly as much to try and get vision. So you're never going to be able to abduct basically anything if you can't abduct the mothership, because that's like the only thing you can abduct currently. And once you kill it, then you can get at the carriers. But
Yeah,
until
and
then,
if Cloak is on, you don't know where the Templar, which is a huge problem for Zerg. Like, so the mothership is actually insane. It's just that it's pretty easy to kill.
And it has to be killed first, is what people don't stress on. It's like it always dies first because it has to be killed first, or you can't
Yeah.
possibly engage the army. Like it's impossible. Right. So but I agree with Max Angel. I think acceleration would be a good thing to look at the mothership, because it gets picked
Yeah.
off like kind of like turning around and like going away. That's gotta be frustrating as fuck.
that
I
seems
think
like
that
a
would be-
reasonable change, to be honest.
I agree, yeah.
No, it's just Protoss need to get better. Just keep on a petrol, because then it won't lose its momentum, and then you can
Australia
turn
already
quicker.
said it, dude. You just got to start
Yeah.
trying harder.
Yeah.
Start getting smart by what was it? I love that. I'm gonna start using that.
Have to get smarter by necessity.
Yeah.
Okay, so the overall changes, right? We have the Terran getting the Widowmine buff. That's really the only thing going on for them. Zerg with the Queen nerf, the Baneling nerf, the Infestor, Microbial Shroud, whatever, and then the Creep Tumor nerf. So 3 kind of big nerfs for Zerg. And then Protoss, the Battery Overcharge. We have the Oracle somewhat nerf, somewhat buff, and the High Templar buff. What are we thinking overall with this patch? And of course, Scarlett, you can throw in what you're thinking about these other changes that you weren't here for.
Okay, so the problem with this mainly is that most of these changes, I think, affect TVZ way more than PVZ. And
yeah, everyone was kind of saying
Terran-
that, yeah.
Terran isn't really struggling in TVZ currently. Like, sure, Protoss, especially in the mid game, has not been doing so well recently. But Terran have been doing fine if you look at tournaments. Like, the win rates have been slightly above, slightly below 40% since the BlizzCon patch, depending on the month. And especially recently, since the map changes, like, they've been winning a lot of online tournaments. Whereas Protoss, like, statistically, yes, they are a little bit weaker in the match. So I wish the changes were more specifically focused on that matchup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well,
we're
the
all
Baneling
in
changes
agreement on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like I'm never gonna win a game against a good Terran on EU anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hero Marine's loving this one.
So is that kind of the final word on the patch? You guys have any other thoughts here? Stray, you keep moving your mic down and then moving it up when other people talk. What do you think?
Well, the Baneling change is absolutely huge. Like, it might force Zergs to rely on different types of.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of variety you can do in PvZ, but not much you actually get because everyone just goes Banelings.
Wait,
Yeah,
what's
you
this?
can go like something like lurkers. The thing is, it has to be something that can replace the role of the baneling. So it's like we don't really have a lot of options. It's like
Does the
like lurk
Baneling
or something?
change really do anything in PvZ though?
It
Yeah.
does.
Against
Me
what?
and Sasha were talking earlier about the storm, and we thought it was still 4 ticks, but it's actually it's just 3 ticks now to kill the storm.
Okay, so I have some update, and something really strange is going on. So I was talking to the dude that thought I'm wrong, and he sent me a GIF on the balance map. And what happens on the balance map is that the Baneling got stormed, went from 30 hit points to 20 to 10, and then to 1. It didn't even go from 11 to 1. So it's just there's another tick, and then it got the hit point in the same tick or
Now
something.
you have to make a feat before the admittance here.
So
Before
I'll have to see. Like, I'm gonna have to check
What?
if there's something weird going on, because that shouldn't be happening. Because usually it should, if anything, regenerate immediately. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the balance mod is just doing weird stuff. Because
Can
sometimes the
I
balance.
explain my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay. In StarCraft, even though the number displayed for the health is always like a integer number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the actual HP can be like 1.5, right? Because if
Can it
a
be?
unit, if a unit has equal armor or more armor than the damage, then the unit will actually do half a damage every shot.
But would it regenerate half a hit point?
So it could be at 10.5 HP and then it takes 10 damage from the storm and it never shows 0, right? It'll show 1. So it could be at half an HP and it'll show 1 when the storm does 10 damage. That's why.
But didn't you storm it, Dario, and it died?
In my version of the game, yeah. But he was playing on the balance mod. I was just looking at like a Baneling without the centrifugal hooks, and it died. So I don't know how that would be different.
And also, armor doesn't apply to spells. So
No.
how would this occur?
No, I'm just saying that it could regenerate less than 1 HP. So it'll be at 10.5 HP, but it only displays 10 HP in that case.
But do they do that?
Yeah, they do that, right?
Oh, okay.
But why did your Baneling die and the other Baneling didn't die? Why is it regenerating instantly? Or? Yeah.
That is the enigma at hand. Someone has to.
This is a giant difference, actually. If it dies at that point or not under the storm, that is a huge difference in the game.
Yeah, that is the biggest difference in the patch. So we should probably find out. Someone has to go test it. I'm so bad.
Someone's saying Zerg regens 0.5 hit points at a time.
Yeah, that's not. But
I still don't understand why my Baneling with 30 hit points died and his didn't.
I tested it the same way you tested it, Dario, and mine lived with 1 HP.
Oh shit.
I don't know why.
Damn.
But did you do it on the balance mod or on the life?
Oh no, I did it the same exact way you did it with centrifugal.
I'm gonna
hooks.
Oh, if you did it in the live game, it ended up with 5 hit points, right?
No, because I did, but I just used the.
Oh, you were just watching it chunk down. Then that would work with what Sasha said about having the extra 0.5 whatever healed. It wouldn't show, right? Because it would just show 5 because it's at like 5.5 health or something like that.
Right, but it died. That's the mystery, is that it died.
But it was but you were testing it with. Oh, you tested it before the upgrade.
In live game, it dies or dies.
Okay.
No, never mind.
I just tested live game and it survives without centrifugal hooks at 1 HP.
Huh.
And Australia tested the same thing. It also survives at 1 HP.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Actually, I did have the 35 hit points. So it's because it has those 35 hit points. It doesn't show.
So speed. Yeah, it didn't show that it was at like 5.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so it actually lives through the storm.
Yeah.
So what's the point of this change then, other than nerfing CVT?
CVT, yeah.
It's only CVT.
Yeah,
Sounds
again.
perfect.
Oh my god, that keeps coming up.
Honestly, this patch is amazing. Let's just put it through.
Oh my god.
Fucking Jason, man. Yeah,
Damn.
so it seems like not intended, the patch so much. Not what it was intended.
So yeah, I think what happened is Blizzard clearly must have seen like, okay, Storm does 10 damage a take. The math works out, and then never tested it in game because that's such a bizarre thing to happen. Because like, there's no reason they would ever do that nerf just for CVT, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the buff?
Is,
The
like,
buff
pretty
was
fine
for
right
CVT,
now.
right? Because the buff was for CVT, right? Or was it?
It was.
Yeah, it was. I think.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't remember any Protoss like particularly complaining then.
This actually doesn't really change anything for TVZ, right?
The patch or the change?
No, the
change?
Baneling change.
I mean, it
changes,
technically
like,
changes a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Random math.
Great
Random
change.
math that changes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe with Archon's splash, depending on the upgrades. Like that's the only thing I can think
Or
of.
like if there's enough distance for a second storm to fit in somewhat, right? Like I'm sure not all Phoenix connect or something.
No, it would take 4 ticks of storm no matter what.
Yeah.
That's the
before
distance. The distance is 3 ticks. Maximum distance between storm and banelings.
Rolling through, right? It gets 3 ticks if it's on creep with speed. If I'm not mistaken, right? That's how that works.
I was trusting Dario for this one.
I have Monk
Okay.
messaging me.
Okay. Are we testing something right now, or are we just all quiet? Because we're
No,
sad
Juan
that the
has
patch did
I
nothing.
think
I think we're waiting on Dario's update here.
you guys keep talking. I'm just gonna try to figure out what's going on here.
Okay. All right. So the patch overall seems to really affect
CVT.
Yeah.
ZVT, which is not in bad shape right now. Not do a whole lot to PVZ. Overall, Australia, what do you think about the PVZ prospects after this patch? Like, how much better is it going to get?
The queen range is nice if you're opening Stargate and or Archon drop, but other than that, it doesn't seem like the change. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's changing that much.
So
what
are you
about the
saying I
feedback?
might be able to watch a game that's not an adept build? That could be fun as
You can
someone who
Stargate,
watches StarCraft. Yeah, that would be neat.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right.
I think also the creep tumor change is going to be like a minor change in the early game of PVZ,
CVP.
especially
Mhm.
because right now, if they see you make a creep tumor, they just don't care. Like they're not going to kill it anyways. But after the patch, if the light change goes through, as soon as they see creep tumor, they can shade back, walk on creep, and just kill it easily. So you're gonna have to be a lot more careful about spraying like the first couple creep tumors, but that's only like affects the really early game, I think. Maybe two chrono boosted adepts will be stronger because right now the way you deal with them is you always spread creep at your natural first. So you're gonna have maybe a little less creep against that, but
Treat it like
the
a Reaper.
and the queen range on a lot of maps right now, queens can barely hit the oracles if they like fly behind your main base. So maybe they won't have to recall anymore if they get stuck there. So it'll give the oracles more options. So maybe Stargate will become a little more common again. But that's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
I think we pretty much agreed on the creep tumor thing earlier, but it's kind of funny that we're asking for Stargate openers to come back.
Yeah, right. I was super sick of them, but now that it's like adepts every single game, like the Oracle doesn't look too bad right now.
Is that what you get on Europe as well, Dario?
Sorry.
Do you also get adepts every single game, or is it
Not every single game.
or often? Like I wonder if it's more of a Korea thing, or
I think EU Zergs kind of figured out a decent defense against it, and now it's like part of the rotation, but it's not. Maybe 30% of the games is adepts.
Yeah, I don't see it that often as prevalent, but yeah.
Like if you look at Reyno, for example, he just stops making drones at 35 if he identifies it and makes roaches, and seems to, it's kind of weird because you are behind in drones versus probes, so that feels super weird, but it ends up being fine because adepts are so useless.
Yeah, I guess the Korean Protoss are like copying Classic, and the Europeans are copying Showtimes.
Okay. Overall, the patch. What's your guys' grade for this? Is this high quality? Is it good stuff? Is there anything in here that makes it a dumpster fire? What do you think?
I'm really happy that they went for some bold changes with this
Yes,
one.
yes.
Really scared they were going to take it slow from now on. So I'm really, really happy they went out on it.
Yeah. It is very refreshing feeling that way, I would agree.
Yes. Yeah, there was a sigh of relief almost. It's good that things are happening. So yeah. And I mean, if the changes are bold enough that we're having this episode as it is, then props for that. As far as the patch accomplishing what it sets out to accomplish, yeah, I think it's gonna favor Terran maybe a little bit too much. And like I said, I really don't see Terrans exploiting just going to the late game against Zerg as much as I think they can. And with all these, I'm worried.
Okay.
Actually, Jason pointed something out before the stream. I don't think it was mentioned that planetaries will now kill like one more circle of Baneling split damage-wise.
Yeah, you have to use way more Banelings now, which is great because that's actually a really annoying thing to deal with as a Bio-Terran is just like 30 Banelings running into a planetary and killing everything. It'd be a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, the Banelings only cost like 5 times as much, so I guess, yeah, that's a huge hurdle.
Feels bad, man. I'll take what I can get, dude.
Yeah.
Me killing your creep tumors with 2 Hellions while you're not even looking. How's your proxy hatch gonna go? When I
Well,
can kill
you're
your
not.
creep
It's gonna be terrible. I don't even want to talk about it.
Oh my god.
That is actually true too. Like that's nerfing Bly in another way. That
Yeah.
proxy hatching, he's just gonna lose his creep tumor to 1 adept and gonna be sad.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they're nerfing like half of my strategies really hard. So like has to be crying. Yeah.
That's
I
rough.
gotta- yeah, I don't make money from those strategies anymore, you know. But Bly, do we have Bly's Twitter? Can we open Bly's Twitter? I am actually curious now.
Is it on Fire Bly?
On Fire Bly. Did he say anything? Time to uphrase is what he said. This patch! Hashtag Blizzard, please. Okay, there's a couple of tweets. That's good.
Wonderful. Estrella, what do you think about the patch overall from the Protoss perspective?
It's okay, so. The Widowmine change is, I don't know if it's too much or not, but it's definitely a big change as far as against Protoss. The shield batteries might turn out to be too big a buff, I'm not sure, but it'll definitely make holding all-ins easier. Like a lot of different types of all-ins. And as far as like the other ZVP changes, if the Baneling change doesn't do what it was meant to do, that's just kind of silly.
Okay.
Did Monk ever get back to you, by the way, on that note?
Yeah, did Monk ever get back to you?
I'm gonna just talk about that at some other point. It's like figuring this out live is a mess. So
No problem.
it seems like that's just the way Banelings work. And the guy messaged me like a patch note from like earlier, from like years ago, that now Zerg units basically instantly regenerate hit points. So that's why back in the days when there was not the 35 hit points, they instantly died, but then they
Yeah.
changed the mechanic of regeneration after that. So
That makes
now
sense.
30 hit points work differently than 30 hit points in the past.
When
So that
when
seems
was
to
that
be-
change?
I'm not quite sure.
Because if I remember in the past, 2 snipes wouldn't kill an infestor. It would zero at 1 HP. Unless they were like almost perfectly lined up. Because even way back in like Wings of Liberty, I remember it healing instantly. Did people talk about microbial shot today?
Yeah.
We gave it a couple
We got a good laugh
sentences.
about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a differing opinion than a laugh about microbial shroud?
I don't know. I think the problem is that Hydras just really suck as actual anti-air.
Mhm.
Like people don't make them against air units.
Mm.
It's just not a thing. You would just always rather have corruptors, so I don't think it's ever really going to be that relevant.
Yeah. That's pretty much what people thought. What's your overall grade for the patch, Scarlet?
I really don't like it. I like that they're considering doing changes, as
Same,
people
same.
said. Like since BlizzCon doesn't really have StarCraft anymore, like I don't know what's going to happen with the post BlizzCon patch. So the fact that they're doing big changes is nice to see.
So add an extra. So whatever your grade is, you add an extra letter just based on that. Go.
Yeah, sure. But I think the patch doesn't really address the problems at all. So maybe C.
That's a D then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with B.
B?
B plus.
Okay.
B to B plus, which is a C to C plus. For trying.
Okay.
That you get the letter for trying. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're doing this. Dario, what's your letter grade for this?
I'm really confused now.
I just go for the normal letter, man. Don't mind.
So I think now that I know Banelings don't change against Protoss, and it seems like to me it's a pure CVT nerf patch from a Zerg perspective. I have to give it a D or a C, like C minus, and
Okay. Well,
I really wish. I mean, the only 2 things that I want to say left are I really wish that they would take another look at TVT, especially the Raven in the early game. At least just ping pros for some feedback, because I feel like they would get some of the same answers from that. And yeah, this patch doesn't really do much for TVP, in my opinion. Like once Colossus come out, Widowmines suck anyways, so it's just going to be better in the early game. But like I said before, like every single option they have for opening, you can scout the Widowmines. And now that they're giving the Revelation 25 energy, I think Stargate openers are going to become a lot more popular in that matchup. So, yeah, pretty much.
I don't think they'll
give it
become
a
a lot more popular.
You don't think so?
Maybe a little. I don't think it's a lot more though.
What about Twilight openers? There's going to become a little bit more unpopular, you would think.
I mean, meh.
You don't think so? So
Maybe
you're gonna
it's, like,
open you're gonna open Twilight still?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Because mines are gonna get you.
I think the mines will get them.
Most people
Yeah.
go Twilight Roll anyways. Actually, maybe Oracle into Blink would be a bit more popular.
I think if you gas first into like proxy medevac Widowmine drop, you could definitely beat the Twilight opener. Imagine two Widowmines in one mineral line, one in the other mineral line. You can't do anything about that for like 40 seconds. That's a lot, dude.
Okay, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. I want to mention something I've kind of realized talking with you guys about this patch. It feels like a lot of these things are going back closer to Heart of the Swarm values. Even though everyone agrees Heart of the Swarm was the bad expansion, it's like we're kind of reapproaching a lot of the things that were going on during Heart of the Swarm, minus the terrible Swarm host play. I just kind of
we've
find
moved
that
around.
interesting.
Yeah, we've moved away from Broodlord Infestor too, but I agree with you. Yeah, it is a macro oriented patch. Like it's almost like we want to get the game to a state where everything is kind of just like almost stale. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with that sentiment. It seems like they're pushing for macro play.
Yeah, and then
I think macro play being the default is pretty okay though, as long as you have lots of diversity in the macro play. And we do see some cheeses, but maybe just not as many as in the past. I think there's a lot.
Yeah, like not nearly as many though. Like like at some point it was all cheese, and that was a wonderful time. You remember, I'm sure Huck would not do anything other than Forgate, and he would win tournaments. So like that's too much. But yeah, when is it too little? It's just a question, right? It's
right. Okay. I guess that about does it for the patch. I think we'll really quickly just talk about the GSL groups and get into Patreon questions, unless you guys have anything else. No? Okay.
No.
Let's go ahead and throw the groups up on screen. Scarlett, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. Well, this is perfect because you're in GSL Codes Round of 16 Group A.
Yes.
So to quickly read off these groups, the group selection obviously was last night. Group A, Dark, Tasia, Scarlet, Deer. Group B, TY, Solar, Stats, Cure. Group C, Trap, Bunny, Parting, Sue. Group D, Maru, Ragnarok, Innovation, Zest. Scarlett, what do you think about Group A? While I still have you here, your group. Like, are you happy with this group? Tell us about it. I didn't get to watch last night, so
It's not the worst group.
Yeah.
Group C also looks pretty nice. But I would have been a bit happier if Dark switched stats for a different player. Deer is is probably one of the best PvZ players right now. At least like it would be very hard to play against him, his style. So maybe if Bunny or Ragnarok was there instead, would have been a bit nicer. But have some potential. So, definitely.
Why did he switch stats out for Deer? That's like stats' weak matchup right now is Zerg, and Dark is a Zerg player.
Why did he switch stats over Deer? I think he fears stats more. He also said that he promised Bunny beforehand that he wouldn't swap Bunny in. And he said that Ragnarok is carrying ZVZ, so he doesn't want Ragnarok. So I think he thought Deer might be like since Deer kind of plays standard-ish. Like he doesn't do something crazy like parting would, for example. So he probably just feels more comfortable going into the group, safer, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. What do you guys all think of Group A here?
Scarlet is obviously gonna advance first, and then maybe Dark is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Depends on when the patch hits, though.
I mean, I think everybody.
Go ahead.
I think everybody's counting out Tasia for sure, but I generally think it's not just a teammate thing, but his MMR has been rising really steadily. He's been doing a lot better, so I think he's definitely the dark horse in the group. But I see it being a possibility of him advancing now. I think TVC especially is going a lot better for Terrans than in the past. Sorry, Scarlet.
That's okay. One thing I'm curious about is when the patch is going to come out. Because it usually comes out on a Tuesday, right? This is a Wednesday. Next Wednesday,
Yeah.
so.
It's next Wednesday. Yeah, I don't think they'll do it that quickly.
Okay. That would be
And
There'll
worst
be at
case
least one
scenario.
more post probably about like different changes and thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Probably not until the GSL season is over, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But definitely, I would say it won't happen like in the middle of the round of 16.
No
I would say
way.
the very earliest it could hit would be before round of 8. Would make sense. Okay. Group B, TY Solar Stats Cure. Any thoughts on this group, everybody?
Yeah, everyone was saying Group D is the group of death, but I think Group B is almost just as scary, in my opinion.
Okay. Anyone agree with that?
These people seem powerful. I don't really get to play them. I feel like
They're good players.
Scarlet and Max Angel probably have more to say than the rest of them.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends on like how well Cure plays on LAN, because a lot of people say he's like so good online, but he hasn't shown that quite as much on LAN yet. So it depends on that. And TY just plays strange, so compared to most Terrans, I guess. So it depends on how he shows up, what kind of builds.
Cool.
But the players just seem very solid overall. Like they're less up and down, Solar and Stats. They've been very good for a long time.
But who do you think makes it out of these groups then? A and
Group
B.
B? Oh, A and B? A, well, Dark and Scarlet. Let's go with that.
That's cool.
And then Group B, TY, I just always say is going to make it out. I think it's going to be like TY Solar.
Is it time for Cure to finally like do good offline? Like I feel like he's no? Like he's powerful, no?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's good enough to do it, but like, is he gonna? I think he'll probably beat Stats. I'm not super feeling Stats' play right now. It's like I don't even know why. But like even last night, he didn't seem like he was super strong. You know, it was like pretty close matches overall. Yeah, I don't know.
I think everyone has a pretty fair shot of getting out of that group. It's quite even.
Yeah. Probably why it's so strong. Group C, Trap, Bunny, Parting, Sue.
I think that's a group where a lot of weird stuff is going down.
Yeah.
I want to believe in parting.
Yeah. Anytime I see Parting in a group, I'm like, yeah, this is a group he can get out of for sure.
Yeah.
he just exudes confidence. I think that's it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you see the guy, it's like, yeah, he's probably gonna make it out.
And he knows when he has to have a very abusive build.
Oh yeah.
I think that's very important as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone was watching the selection ceremony, but Parting was begging Bunny to let him in the group when it was Bunny's choice.
That's so rude. That's good. I like
that. Any other thoughts on Group C there?
I'm with Parting as well.
Yeah.
Parting. And I agree with TLO. This group is
okay.
Trap. Maybe Parting Trap.
Really?
I don't know. They like predicting to Protoss.
I think Sue is gonna steamroll it.
Steamroll. I think.
Yeah, because like there's people that like play kind of weird, and Sue's just gonna make a lot of roaches and win the game.
That's true.
But that's the thing is, I feel like Sue has like one gear. Is it geared to Smash Parting's like weirdness?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I think so. Actually, I would.
Okay.
Well, he can make as many roaches as he wants off of his one hatchery because Parting
I wouldn't be too surprised if Bunny got out, actually.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be the most surprised ever, yeah. If he was in any other group, I'd say no chance, but I think he has a chance in this group.
Okay. He's like the last person I would expect. Trap and Parting have the best PvT win rates in the whole world. And then Sue is Sue, so I'm like, I can't feel it. But I didn't feel him getting out of the other group.
I don't think Bunny's getting out of there.
Yeah. Get out of here, Australia. Group D, Maru, Ragnarok, Innovation, Zest. A lot of people saying this is the group of death. Any particular thoughts on this group, guys?
Okay, I was in the selection ceremony. I don't know why, but Ragnarok just picked Innovation suddenly and just like started face bombing for the next couple minutes. I have no clue what was going on there. Like, why did I just do that?
Well, that's great. Maybe a mind game.
All right.
Maybe he just wanted to make it out of the strongest group or something like that, and that like, he had decided on something like that, like something heroic. I don't know. Was there an interview? Is there a? That would be cool.
I didn't hear what Ragnarok had to say. My audio cut out. The audio cut out there for some reason.
Oh, that's
Damn.
well, something to be said about Terran being the most represented race in this round, Jason.
It's like
Yeah, if we could get that patch out on the Pronto, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. I saw someone, I forget who said it, that if this patch comes out as is, Maru will never lose another Terran versus Zerg.
I'm with that.
And it will all come down to Protoss versus Maru.
to be honest, that's kind of how I feel about Clem in Europe as well. Like I don't see how any Zerg, maybe Serral, you know.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes Serral.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's GSL Code S. Not a big preview, but starts the round of 16 next Wednesday with Scarlet's group. Good luck, Scarlet, on that.
Should we make some milk tea bets on who's getting out?
Yes.
Well, we got to do it on how many cannon rushes, right?
I missed out on the milk tea bets. Did you pay up, Max Angel?
I still owe Artosis, but I
yeah,
think
he
I paid
still owes me one. Next
like
time
I was watching the show. I was like, put me in the call. Matt was like, do you actually want me to put you in the call? I was like, no, I just want the fucking tea, man.
Some bets, cats. Let's go.
Yeah, cannon rush is happening. Let's go.
Yeah, Parting's going to do at least 2 cannon rushes.
Yeah,
at least 2 of them.
What do you say, Max Angel? Milk teas?
At least 2? No, he's not going to do 2. Maybe 1, not 2.
Milk tea bet. 2 cannon rushes from Parting. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm into.
Are you doing that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, just 1. It's just 1 or 0.
1 or 0. And I got 2 or more.
Yeah, you got 2 or more.
Yeah.
Are you for real right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Gonna get my milk tea right back. Nice.
No. You still owe me a milk tea. I will also buy you a milk tea, but I am not losing my free milk tea. All right. That's an easy one. All right. I think we'll move on to the Patreon questions at this point. For anyone out there that wants to ask questions of these wonderful guests, go ahead and jump over to patreon.com/the Pylon Show. Let's get into it. All right. Here we go. Lightning Lynn asks, I have to jump on this sentient food train before it's too late. Oh, God.
Here we go.
If you were a square cheese platter, on which of the 4 corners would you put your blue cheese?
What?
How is this sentient food?
Are you the platter?
Yeah, I guess that's a sentient platter. Where would you put your blue cheese? I guess I would put it on the left corner, but it's a square, so really there's no left or right, right? It's like just how you're holding it. Thank you, Leighton and Lynn, for the question.
Thank you.
Blue cheese is one of my favorite cheeses, though. So I'm a fan of blue cheese. It's very, very tasty.
Yeah. You like the oatmeals as well, though. I don't like blue cheese either.
Damn.
Quite possibly one of the worst cheeses.
Dude, it's so tasty. Oh my God, I love the strong taste. Evo asks, not a question, just a thank you. I'm a glassblower and recently started streaming on YouTube. I wanted to thank you and your guests for the many episodes that give great info on the hardware and business of streaming. So I wanted to thank you for great info that goes beyond Starcraft. You are very welcome. I'm glad that somebody found some use for those episodes other than me. I definitely did as well. Thanks, man. Good luck on your stream. Silver asks, if we found out that there will be no more balance patches in StarCraft 2, do you think the game could be balanced with maps like in Brood War? If so, what features would you like to see experimented with? Example, extra bases or gas for certain races, areas of the map you can't spread creep on, etc. Thanks. you guys think
Actually,
about that? Could
that's-
we do that?
I mean, it always depends what you're trying to achieve balance. Are you trying to lock in like 50% win rate across every matchup, or are you okay with periods where one race is better than the other, right? Because like hardly ever in Brood War was it just 50-50 either. There's sometimes this like illusion that Brood War was somehow like this perfectly balanced game at all points, and that's not true. So I think it's definitely possible over time to have a pretty balanced game. Some maps right now are heavily favored in matchups, right? Like even if CVT would be Zerg favored, Purity and Industry is clearly a map that Terran would have a higher win rate. So it's possible. It's just, and especially if you allow more features, I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
Mm-hmm. I think it could get ugly at times, though. Like, let's say the game sits stagnant for a year and a half, and suddenly there's an immortal push that like kills everything. How do you fix that on a map? Are you making it like so wide open that like you can rush Protoss down because their wall-in is weak or something? Like, yeah, maybe you can get that win rate, like you said, to 50%, but does that make a quality game state? I'm not sure.
Yeah, of course, like weapons and stuff like that make maps more tricky and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But if we would have the game right now, I don't think it would be impossible.
Mhm.
Like if we would just take the current patch, we could get relatively close. Like there isn't anything like totally crazy. There's just like straight up kills people and restricts maps completely, I think.
I don't see. Where is the question? I'm trying to find it. And I can't.
It's
the
if you
Patreon,
go
but I'm
to
still
priority Patreon questions and scroll down
The
to episode 91.
2019, right?
Priority Patreon questions. Yeah, I think it says
I'll send you a link in
2019.
Discord.
What's the name of the person that wrote this?
This was Selver.
Oh, does anyone else have anything to say? I don't know.
Not really.
Cool.
The
All
game would suck after a year if this happened.
Yeah, it would be terrible. It would be terrible. If we find out that there are no more balance patches, do you think it could be balanced? I think certainly through maps or something.
Yeah, well, that was the question. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely
Could it be
balance the
balanced?
game
Yes,
in some ways. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Selver. Hope that answers your questions. Washburn21 asks, what are your thoughts on the balance of cannon rushes in PvZ with the new patch? In Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, it was something that the Zerg player could stuff reliably if they scouted. But recently, you've seen players of all skill levels dropping games to cannon rushes. Is there a reliable way to stop it? Scarlett, are you still on this call? I know that she has strong opinions on cannon rushes, so please.
It depends on the map, but on some maps, there's no way to reliably stop it. Like if you talk to Parting, he'll say like, depending on the Protoss scout timing, you'll have to patrol a drone on your low ground before like you even know if it could be a cannon rush.
Yeah, like Nightshade, for example, right?
Yeah, Nightshade specifically, or maybe Everdream. Because Everdream, they can kill your second gust in the low ground with their cannon, so... So it's... Basically, Zerg have found ways to deal with all the cannon rushes, except the one where they wall off behind your natural mineral line, kill that with cannons, and then make a robo there. That's like the one that there's no like consensus on how to beat, really. But the rest of them, like sure, you can be a little behind afterwards, but there is ways to deal with all of them.
On almost every map, you can just beat it with drones only. If you just instantly send down a drone as soon as they make the first pylon, and then have more drones hotkeyed to just instantly send down once the second pylon goes down. But if the map of the surface area is too small, it just doesn't work. Like for example, Nightshade, they can just re-wall behind the pylon, and it doesn't do anything. But on most maps, cannon rushes are not as amazing.
I think that the biggest weapon against cannon rush for the high level players is probably that they know who is cannon rushing, or who can cannon rush and who can't cannon rush, basically.
There is a big difference in execution of cannon rushes amongst pros. There's no question about that.
Yeah, you have to commit yourself to cannon rushing, I think, to be good at cannon rushing. No?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not as easy as some people think. And there's some few like in a tournament game, if I see Nightshade Protoss is not blocking my natural, I might actually just send down a drone, because everybody blocks your natural. So like if they want me to have the natural, maybe there's a cannon rush coming in like 50% of the case or something.
Good point. All right, thank you for the question, Washburn. Probe, not the Australian one. Mike Thunder asks, getting units like the Reaper or the Oracle in a state where they aren't relegated to one thing is important to me. Thoughts on a fun upgrade? Static inhibitors, 150 minerals, 100 gas. Oracles become untargetable by static defense while pulsar beam is deactivated. Researched at Cybernetics Score. What do you guys think? You could deactivate your Oracle. It's like a white flag, and now your Spore can't shoot it.
It's like
But
a
it
white
can still
flag
make a
sticks out.
but it can still make a status, I guess.
Yeah, it could. And think about this: like, if you just have that upgrade, I just fly it over the turrets and then turn it on. Yeah.
And what about the mines? Can the mines target it or no?
I think
No,
that's a unit, not static D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm against
I
that
mean,
one.
It just
Yeah, I
seems
think
like a
that
really
is-
annoying upgrade.
Thank you, Probe, for throwing that out there. VDEC asks, if you had to make a balance change suggestion to the StarCraft 2 balance team, what would you suggest for each race? What would be some of your guys' suggestions for balance? And Scarlet, if you're still here, you can throw one out there too.
I mean, we just discussed the patch. I feel like it's a weird question given the context, but the balance suggestions I would make would be not to go through with some of it, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
I
reasonable.
think that's fair, yeah.
I liked what Estrella said about upping the acceleration of the mothership. Because the minus 400,
like
minus
that,
400
yeah.
shit, I feel is real most of the time. It's just like, it just gets abducted and that's it. There's no counterplay. It's just slow and crappy and clunky. So I liked that idea.
I'm with that. It's too easy to abduct it on the retreat. It lags behind too much.
My dream as a Zerg player is reduce speed on creep of every Zerg unit and slightly increase off creep in a way that makes sense. For example, maybe not increase speed of like Zerglings, for example. They don't need to be faster off creep, but maybe like, like of an Ultra, or something like that.
Hydra.
If we're dreaming big,
Hydra,
then I would say like make all the units have a little bit more HP, maybe make the fights last a little bit longer. But it's also that can't be easily something that can't be easily scaled, because then if you say all the units have twice the HP, the Marines are just invincible. So
No, like Marines would be trash now.
No, with twice
Like,
the HP.
But
they would-
twice the HP is better for melee units because they can actually close in.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. The melee.
But Banelings would suck on the other hand, I guess.
Banelings would be terrible.
But they'd always connect.
Yeah, they'd always connect.
Yeah.
I guess they
don't
would
know.
always connect.
I think I have a better
Or you would
idea
have to tinker with
there.
the damage for sure.
I think
Just
when
double
you
the
talk
damage.
about
Increase the
that,
damage instead of, yeah.
I've always liked the idea of nerfing splash damage in StarCraft 2.
Mm.
It's just
Hard
know.
agree. Hard agree on that one.
Of course you would. Well, yeah.
What do you mean,
Nerf
of course?
all of
Every
it.
single game I lose, it's to splash damage.
Yeah, Terran has like no splash damage, like tanks, and like
Well, I didn't say Terran didn't. I just said I lost to splash damage.
I like Cat's idea actually. That sounds fun. Make all the fights last a bit longer.
Yeah.
It's called Warcraft 3, boys.
Yeah, but that's a lot longer. That's like the fights last like 5 times as long. Like how about like 0.5?
Maybe we go to Warcraft 3 and half the health of all their units. Now that's a game.
Yeah, I'll play that game.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nerf spells and nerf HP of units.
Yeah.
Like, how long do you think when two grunts would just fight each other 1v1? How long do you think it would take to kill the other? It must be at least like over a minute, right?
Yeah, it's pretty long. It's pretty
Yeah,
big.
it's like it's super slow.
Yeah. Whenever I heard those old Warcraft 3 players, they're the ones with the good micro, and the StarCraft players have the good macro. And I'm like, have you ever microed a StarCraft unit? It's fucking hard. Anyways, thank you for the question, VDAC. Short but very thin dick.
What?
Artosis. You stream a lot these days, but you only play Brood War, no StarCraft 2. Do you play StarCraft 2 at all? Can you maybe explain why you prefer Brood War over StarCraft 2? Is it because of the scene in Korea is bigger for Brood War? And isn't it hard to keep your passion up for StarCraft 2 if you don't play it? Love the show. Cheers to all. Yeah, I prefer to play Brood War at the moment. I don't play a lot of StarCraft 2 right now. I get on little kicks of it from time to time. I haven't super actively played it in a couple years because I've been focusing on Brood War because there are a lot of tournaments out here, which is like kind of my thing. It's like my favorite thing to do in the world for me personally, that's not like family involved or something, is to play LAN tournaments. That's just like, I don't know. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm a commentator, is because I love to play LAN tournaments specifically. That's what kept me in the game. And there's a lot of Brood War LANs in Korea when coronavirus isn't going on. So that kind of like motivates me to play a lot of Brood War and practice hard for it and all that. I also, yeah, I guess that's a lot of the answer of it. Is it hard to keep your passion for StarCraft 2 if you don't play it? I really like watching StarCraft 2, and that's very, very fun for me. So, yeah, no, it's not really particularly hard. Thank you for your question. Short but very thin dick. Okay, optional,
but very thin. You know, like it's not
yes.
short and very thin, like two negatives. It's like but very thin, as if that was the redeeming quality. That's great.
Thanks for
Trying to
explaining.
make sure we realize exactly what's going on. Optional player asks, the Transformers, X-Men, Exo Squad, Eek the Cat, some of my favorite cartoons growing up. What about you fine e-folks? You guys have some favorite cartoons from when you were growing up?
DuckTales.
Pokemon.
Oh yeah, DuckTales. That was
Gargoyles.
I like X-Men.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z as well.
yeah, DBZ.
Does that count, or is anime
Ninja
like a
Turtles?
different genre?
It's a cartoon. It's just a different word for cartoon.
Cool.
Yeah. Anime
You
is
can't call
probably
cartoons
hard, not a
animes, though.
cartoon, cats.
Some
like-
people would be
yeah.
offended. I'm sure some people in chat like that. Anime would be really. That's not cartoons. That's anime, bro. Like,
SpongeBob's an anime. Did you know that?
really?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's animated, right?
No, but it
I
has
like-
to be Japanese, right, to qualify as an anime. Like it has to have a certain.
I think
it?
it's a style of animation.
I don't know. Does it have to be American to be a cartoon?
That's an excellent point.
Ooh.
That's an excellent point. So any cartoon is an anime, is what you've been saying.
Do you think they call their anime cartoons and our cartoons anime?
Ooh.
Wow. You know, I think anyone who gets offended by calling like cartoons anime or anime cartoons, it's because it sounds dumb to be like, oh yeah, I'm watching cartoons. Like, you know, it's like, what are you doing today, Artosis? I'm watching cartoons. You're like, aren't you in your 30s? That's fucked up. Whereas if it's anime, it's like, you know, I'm a man of fine tastes.
That's what they know.
That's what they know. Like, oh, Naruto? I like Naruto as well.
I like that.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, optional player. X-Men was the best. That was great. All right, Red Gunner Guy asks, have you heard of the arcade mode Before Darkness Falls? Not a question. Wanted to shout out community created mode, which is pretty awesome. Played it on Steam, and it's pretty cool alternate StarCraft 2 content. He has the link to the trailer there. You guys heard of this?
It wasn't a
Right.
question, so I will refuse to answer.
Ditto.
Have you heard of the arcade mode Before Darkness Falls? Question mark.
That was not a
is a
question.
question right there. That is a question.
It's not. It says right there.
So it's
It
not
is
a question.
Shit, he did say that. That's the very next thing.
Yeah, that is the very
All
next.
right. Well, I have not heard of it. I don't think they have either. Thank
Why are you
man.
answering a non-question?
Well, I gotta answer everybody, man. It's just that's what I do. I'm known for that, for being nice to the guys in the Patreon question.
True.
All right, Sauce King asks, usually I ask a meme question about microbial shroud because it's total garbage. I came here to do that again, but the patch notes wrote the joke for me. You can't even give this ability away, and now I have to worry about accidentally wasting 75 energy. Any ideas for more useful Infestor ability? Taylor, didn't you unhotkey Neural at one point?
It did when it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neural is good.
Yeah, now it's good.
Yeah.
I think it had like even less range than now, right? At some point. And also Fungal was so good, and Infested Terrans were so good, so why would you ever want to repair or anything? But yeah, Micro Shroud, no hotkey right now.
No.
I like the idea of taking the hotkey off so there's no mistakes made.
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe I should. Nope.
Don't even think about it. It's hard to do.
What if that cloud just followed the units around? Would that make it better? So you don't just know where to
Yes.
click
It
the storm
would be
button?
better.
It would be better. I think that for what the team has been wanting to do in the matchup for a while, and steer away from the turtley games and maybe make the game more dynamic and like make ultras useful and stuff like that, they needed an ability that's more like Dark Swarm than Microbial Short. Microbial or whatever the fuck it's called. I'm not saying that the Dark Swarm. I'm saying like a weaker version of it or something useful, or like an aura from the Infestor that gives units maybe an extra armor or two, or something that's useful to the ground army that does not scale. Like something like there's there's shit that you can just add onto the Infestor that makes your ground army, which is not usually good outside of mass banelings, good, and like make your Hydras and Roaches relevant somehow. When Lambo was here, he proposed that one that I really liked. For example, what if Zerg ground units could upgrade to like 3/3 for the Roach and the Hydra, which are particularly useless as the game scales, right? So like shit like that.
You mean like upgrade more than 3/3?
Yeah, like 4/4 for only, or +4 range only, or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Didn't the Infestor have an ability in the Legacy Beta or something that increased attack speed
Yeah,
of units?
that was cool. I like that. Yeah.
But
I
it
guess
had
it
like
might
a
have
frenzy
was
or
called.
whatever.
That's what it was called.
Yeah. I think buffs in StarCraft 2 like that are really strange, though. I guess it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, the counter argument to abilities like that, like the reason they haven't done it yet, is because there's little counterplay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like there would be no reason. Like in late game, you would always want to cast a spell, right? Like it's not really interesting.
That
Like
too.
every single, there's no decision making. Every fight in late game, I would cast Frenzy before my army, and
your opponent can dispel your Frenzy or something like that, right? So it's like there's no interaction.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the problem with that. But there's other abilities that aren't nearly as like if you like the Infestor changed. If it had an aura, for example, I think that would be fine. There's no auras in StarCraft, so you would have to set precedent. But it's not like auras are uncommon.
I mean, Guardian Shield kind of is an active aura, right?
You're right. Yeah, that's a good example.
So just make it an active. Make it like a slimy dome.
Yeah.
No, the counter argument, that would be cool. The counter argument is that, well, then maybe you would make an Infestor army like that, and then like it's it's also a no-brainer. But I feel like that's fine, like because there is counterplay. You can kill the Infestor. You can.
Yeah.
You feedback it from your main base.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the question there, Sasuke. Chicken Man asks, what race do you guys think is the most balanced?
Question.
Right?
That is brilliant. Yeah, that is
Terran.
a really good question.
Well, we gotta continue reading if Cass has taught me anything. Personally, I think the Tour de France bikers probably have some of the best balance in terms of racers, but maybe less so post-patch, since repaired tires aren't as good. Imagine how hard bouncing in a blizzard would be. All right, thank you, Chicken Man. You gave us a good laugh.
Thank you, Chicken Man.
Some drunk Canadian asks, what keeps you going? I'm sure we've all had moments where we question everything in those moments. What keep you moving forward? No sentient food question today. P.S. TLO, you as a player are my spirit animal. Sending much love from the 2010 Winter Olympics, host city, Vancouver.
Oh, very nice. I'm jealous of the good.
Nice.
Very jealous of the good weather in Vancouver. We are yet to hit like anything above 10 Celsius in Toronto, and I'm starting to get real sick of it.
It's hitting 20 here now. It's so nice.
Yeah, we had snow like last week.
It's too warm here.
So, what keeps you guys going if you lose some motivation? You're not feeling it.
I think just knowing that everyone fluctuates to some degree, like just knowing that you need the ups to have the downs and vice versa. It's like a pretty good way to just not wallow in sadness, but kind of just like accept it when it comes and know that, I think it's a little bit like everyone is always projecting like their happiest and their best outwards. And I feel like that can be deceptive when people are feeling down because they feel really alone and they feel like, like no one understands them, but everyone really understands them. So everyone goes through rough patches and you just have to know that it gets better.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. And for me, it's a very big one that I personally believe I just have this one life. And, it could put a lot of stress on you. but at the same time, like I feel like I'm here for a limited amount, and I don't have like basically I don't need to live a perfect life. I just need to live a life that makes me happy. And if you make mistakes or things are not going so well for a while, that's fine. In the end, there's no consequence to it. You always have to think like, what's really the consequence? And in the end, there's not really any. And that sounds depressing, but for me, that's actually kind of motivating because it means I'm like in this sandbox where I can like just make my own path, and I'm like in complete control of
that. Sometimes when I start feeling like depressed or not motivated or whatever, generally the two things I do are like try to take a little bit of time off to just kind of veg a bit and like let my brain recover from like maybe I was going too hard in one area or something like that, or I'm too obsessed with something, or overthinking stuff. And also I try to get a little bit of extra sleep because I feel like sleep like fixes your brain so much. Like a lot of the time, if something's going wrong with my emotions or my thoughts or something, if I get perfectly rested, then like everything is so much, tones down or something the next day, All right. Thank you for the question, some drunk Canadian.
Well, what about the other two? They don't answer any questions. They
You
just
guys
sit there.
answered them so
That's up to
well,
them,
man.
It's like quite a deep question, right? It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about life or just like talking about motivation in StarCraft or whatever.
Both, either, all
But
of it. Isn't motivation in
I don't know.
StarCraft life?
I guess my that's true, but I don't know. My advice would just be vague, and I kind of like let it be,
Yeah.
like the Beatles song. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have any specific advice. Just let it be.
I've got an entire Twitch chat of like 300 people that are ready to call me shit at everything I do. So they keep me pretty motivated in life, honestly. But like in a serious way, like the people I talk to interact with every day, like we're really good at pushing each other, and it always feels nice to improve, and that feeling has always carried me, like always reaching for something better. I don't know. I'm a competitive person, so competition will keep me focused for a very long time.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Having my own goals and stuff that's like how I keep my brain steady a lot of the time. Like if I feel like I'm not working towards something, I become very sad, and then I need to figure out what is it that I want to accomplish next. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Are we good, cats? Everyone answer?
We're good.
All right. Fridge Raider asks, in its current form, if the balance update were not subject to further changes, which race do you think will be crying out the most by the end of the year?
Zerg.
Yeah. But
Terran still,
I feel like
probably.
we'll still see some like Zerg prodigies win tournaments. But I think a lot of Zergs, like I think the mid to high tier Zergs are just gonna go extinct.
It doesn't feel too much like PvZ is really getting helped, though. Am I wrong? Like I could see
True.
like PvZ right now seems a bit frustrating. It's like just varying when your adepts come in and whether or not there's DTs behind, right? That's like what PvZ is.
Yeah. But I think the Zergs would all lose to Terrans, to the good Terrans.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, hard agree with the good point, Artosis. So maybe Protoss could cry more than Zerg. Terran is not gonna be crying though, for sure.
Well, and generally those Zerg players are more whiny and cryy than Protoss players, so probably Zerg anyways.
Is that true though?
That's definitely true.
No,
My
that's definitely.
perception is that-
The thing is, when it comes to Protoss, they get so much hatred that they are preconditioned that they can't whine because they're Protoss. It's like
I think Terran whines the most, and Zerg haven't been whining, but because Zerg really couldn't be whining in the last couple of years.
Well, Risky finds a way still. He's very
for sure.
Yeah, we are very aware of Risky as a Zerg community. He does not speak for us. Just
he's like a Terran. Risky is like a Terran.
Yeah, he's playing the wrong race.
I love it. All right. Refrigerator, thanks for the question. NeosteelEnthusiast asks, Tutosis, these guys are crazy. To everyone else, if you were an oatmeal raisin cookie and you were starving, would you eat yourself? I know I would. First, I'd dip myself in whole milk for about 4 or 5 seconds. It'd be so delicious.
I would eat myself and then puke myself out.
What?
Does
like one of
eating
my
yourself
biggest
actually
fears.
work? Like, let's say
Yeah.
you had no food. Could you cut off your arm and then eat it, and that gives you enough sustenance that you stay alive?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the shock of like losing the arm is probably gonna cost your body more energy than
Yeah,
Mm,
that's the
yeah.
problem. Yeah, yeah.
And maybe
that's it.
bleeding out also.
Yeah, like maybe under perfect condition if you have like a really sharp like just
Cauterized
blade
right
and
away.
can instantly cauterize, but I still think you're gonna come out, and maybe you're like really big, so it's like really a lot of sustenance.
Maybe it's like
Yeah.
maybe you lose your arm to a sword on fire that just like stays there right after.
What if I surgically get my arm removed and then eat that arm like a week later after I froze it?
You're chilling, then you're
Then
good.
it would be good.
Yeah, it would be
Then you're good, yeah.
Sweet.
That's the way to go about it.
All right. So the answer is yes if the pieces of our self cookies were surgically removed and
You have to
frozen.
cauterize the cookie.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it
There's
has to have a
bleeding.
circulatory system where it can't be alive, right? Some sort. All right. Thank you for the question, Neosteel. Shampoo McTavish asks in an interview. Every
What's
week
his
he
name?
has questions for us. In an interview with a non-gaming newspaper in Norway, Snoot once described StarCraft as a mix of chess, poker, and tennis. What description would you use to illustrate what StarCraft is about to someone completely unfamiliar with StarCraft, esports, or video games in general? I'm sure
I
you
think
guys have
that's-
all had to do this before.
I think that's quite a good one, except I'd probably
Or-
replace tennis with something a bit more mechanical.
I would replace tennis with boxing.
Swimming,
and
I think is good too.
bear with me. Swimming?
Swimming.
Okay.
You don't think swimming?
You can
It
explain
exercises
that.
every. Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, because what I like about the boxing analogy is basically you can lose at any point, and you always need to like be super aware of what the other player is doing. And like if you slip up for 1 second, like you get punched in the face and you can lose the game, or like you can have a lot of endurance, and you're a player that can play for 30 minutes at like a decent level, and there are some people that run out of steam and stuff like that. So like from the strategic perspective, I think boxing is quite good. Throw in chess as well, of course, and poker. But so why the hell swimming? That makes no sense to me at all.
Because you like
I was-
exercise every muscle.
I'm
Every
sorry,
muscle.
are we gonna-
It's
are
like
we
the
gonna
equivalent
ignore-
of huh?
Are we gonna ignore what
I like boxing
Estrella
better.
just
What?
ate? What just drank? He just
Yeah,
drank.
is that your cup, Australia? Is your cup a Tupperware bin?
Can you show us that, please? What the fuck
Is that your water cup?
I've been using it as one, yeah.
Wow.
We have a
And then,
lack
of course, Tilo immediately picks up his mason jar to drink out of. Oh my
I got
god!
thirsty.
Like I'm even worse than that, guys. I just take a shirt and I soak it in the sink, and then I just suck the water out of it. I think what I was using for a little bit, maybe I got this from Day 9, or maybe I thought this. I can't remember, but it was like chess, poker, and playing the piano. I thought was like
Oh,
a
yeah,
pretty,
I like that. I like
pretty
that
good
too.
one. It's got the strategic chess elements, but the bluffing elements of poker, and then the mechanical skill of playing the piano.
That's quite nice.
Yeah. All right. There you
Tennis
go.
might apply more when Storm hosts matches when Snoot was playing.
Yeah, makes sense. Although I do find that chess, tennis, reflects StarCraft pretty well. I like to like read about tennis a decent amount. I feel like there's a lot of overlap in ideas.
I like boxing best. Tennis is like really more turn based than boxing. It's like a similar analogy, but boxing,
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah,
can
okay.
hit whenever.
Sure.
I think Yellow had the
I think
boxing.
tennis is more like CS:GO.
Tennis is more like CS:GO. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you hold the angle and yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and you flashbang him so you can't hit your ball back.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
All right, thank you for the
That
question.
tennis I would watch.
It's fucking amazing to watch.
You have to close your eyes at the right time, or you can't see what's going on. All right, thank you for the question, Shampoo McDavish. Our very own Alessander asks, in the GSL Q&A today, many players chose Solar to attend the army due to his immaturity, especially those who have already been in the army, and the rest mostly chose innovation. What have they done that was so bad? I actually had no idea about this. I don't know if any of us would know.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I feel like we miss like some Korean scene insights for that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Solar, I guess, is a lot more cheeky than a lot of the Korean players, so it's probably just stemming from that.
I'll try to ask at work. See if I remember to ask, then I'll ask him.
Parting came out of military service a lot more cheeky, so I don't know if that would even.
He didn't go yet.
He didn't.
He actually just took time off. Yeah.
Oh, I just assumed because his English was so good, or like better than average, I guess.
Yeah, his English is actually pretty good. Yeah.
Do you learn English in the Korean military?
No, I don't think so. That's what I was wondering too.
I thought you did.
That would be pretty cool, though. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never
That
mind.
would be awesome if they, if the Korean military had you study.
I've been assuming the wrong thing for years.
I mean, they're gonna confuse the North Koreans with their English. Be like,
All right. Thank you for the question. 3 more left. Yoshi asks, I used to only support one player, but after watching GSL last night, I realized that Artosis and others had corrupted me, and now I want to see everyone win. Any tips on getting disappointed at watching every elimination rather than only being disappointed at watching one player get eliminated?
Well, you just have to keep in mind that somebody's always winning the match. So if you're cheering for everybody, you can cheer for that, right? So that's great. Just have to look at it glass half full.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of perspective.
I usually go for like a more broad thing to cheer for. So like I cheer for Terran. So we get
winning or
more. Well, winning, of course.
I don't know about that.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Winning and losing.
Okay.
My face when,
well, if a
Terran
Protoss
my
wins
face
too,
wins.
I'm also happy because probably more nerfs. But in general, I like to like just pick one huge clump of race.
I actually, yeah. I find when players play like I don't want them to play, I want to see them lose. It's like, no, that is not a valid strategy. And then when they lose, I'm like, ha.
I'm the opposite.
No. All right. Thank you for the question, Yoshi. Foot4264 asks, for Estrella, huge fan, by the way. What are your top 2 personal dream achievements as a pro player? Your biggest fan, Estrella. What are your big accomplishments you want to get in StarCraft?
Your biggest fan.
I didn't know I had fans, but thank you. That's cool. I appreciate you.
You can't let
as
them
far, I've actually, I want to make it to a round of 16 in the GSL and do an interview, and then surprise them by talking in Korean when they ask me the question.
Well, you kind of just ruined it, buddy. Yeah, let's go for it.
They don't watch the Pylon show, trust me. They'll have no idea.
That is my number 1 dream, and I don't know. As a second one, I'll win a WCS or something. Who cares?
But can you swear in English after saying like whatever you say in Korean? Can you just drop an English like swearing word?
Huh?
That would be cool. Like Terminator probably would do that. Like I imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger would do something like, talking Korean and say like something like bitch, something like that.
I really hope we get to see that. All right. And our last question, GGE-Mini19 asks, what do we think about Swarmhost Nidus not being mentioned for PvZ? Feel like it's still something that is extremely difficult to deal with and can snowball instantly if the first wave isn't properly dealt with. Does it need to be looked at?
I think it just kind of faded out because people got better at defending it. It's like the Nidus nerf was pretty significant that we had. I think that's enough. Like it's fine for it to still be a valid strategy, right? It just is not like completely broken anymore. Just get good, son.
This is a Zerg player, Estrella. Would you agree?
I think it's still one of the stronger. I think it's actually still quite strong, but I know Europeans, I don't think play it that much. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Tielo, but I don't really see it in European play. But
no, because they know the Protoss know how to defend it.
Actually, I don't even have usually too much trouble defending the first wave, but I find that the follow-up waves that just keep coming, if you push out then the Nidus kind of just pops up and kills a base or something.
I feel like people really have figured out like scouting like 4th bases. If there's no gases, they do this, and they always have a void ray now, like patrolling like one side and then oracles on the other, and then it actually gets really difficult to throw down a Nidus, because Protoss can just kind of sit and make a big army, and as long as they don't keep too much damage, eventually they can just say move.
Okay.
Just apply that in your game.
Is
No
it
problem.
very common on Korea still? Then
Not super common, but
We see it some still in GSL for sure, but
in my
not
opinion,
like
I would like. You'd probably disagree, but I'd compare it to like Terran Mech, where everyone thinks it's still strong, but it's just not seen for some reason.
It's very risky.
Oh, she's still here. What the heck?
no, she's back.
Because if the first Nidus gets shut down, then the build kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah.
It's very momentum based, so
Mm.
if they start dealing with it, then there's really nothing you can get done. The Protoss gets a big army and kind of kills you. So it really depends if you're able to get the first Nidus done, and if you are and you get damage done, then it's really hard for the Protoss, but like the game gets decided very, very quickly with it. And recently it's especially like against the adept build, the build doesn't work out to going into it. It's more common against Stargate, I would say. But even then, they've got good at patrolling all their Stargate units to find the Nidus and then shut it down. So it's not nearly as scary as it used to be, I think.
Yeah, I think for it to work really well, you need to have wave 1, 2, and 3 to be pretty successful. So if you just slow that down a little bit, then suddenly, you'd have enough shield batteries and stuff like that, and you can actually just tank a wave and not lose anything. Storm is done and stuff like that.
All right. Well, that does it for our Patreon questions. Thanks for answering those, guys, and thank you to everyone for dropping those questions in. This has been an excellent show. It was really fun talking with you all about the balance patches and everything and how that's all looking. Before I let you all go, why don't you all kind of tell people where they can find you, where you want them to follow you, where they can see you next, all that stuff. Cats, let's start with you. Where can people see more of you?
Twitch.tv/rootcats is my stream. You can cats. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. And Estrella, do you stream? Can people watch it? Where do they follow you? They want more Estrella, especially but he's your fan.
I don't really stream that much, and I don't post on Twitter that much. But if you just think about me once in a while, that'd be pretty cool.
Aww.
I love it. That's great. Just think about me every now and then. Okay. Well, we'll show his stuff on stream anyways. Thank you for that. Juggernaut Jason, where can people get more of you?
Yeah, man, you can find me at twitch.tv/juggernautjason. It was fun. Thanks for having me, dude. It's really cool to like actually have a mature discussion about balance. Something that doesn't happen often, and when it happens between a bunch of good players, it's nice to be able to participate. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on, especially on such short notice. And TLO, how about you? Where can people find more of you? What should they be looking out for?
Well, I'm not going to plug myself directly, but a lot of work people I could have been TSL 5 happen, and we have the Korean qualifier coming up in 3.5 hours, so you can check that out on TL.net. And in general, just watch as much TSL 5 as possible. Let people know it's happening. We have a lot of cool stuff yet to reveal for the main event, and I think it's going to be a really cool event. And I'm just really grateful that we can put on a pretty sizable event that is happening online. And just a big shout out to Yulmust, who's the tournament director, and he's been putting in so much work in this project. So just big shout out everybody internally in Team Liquid that's been supporting it, and also all the fans out there.
Great. All right. Well, everyone, check that out.
Shopify coming hot.
Yeah, of course, yeah, Shopify.
Yeah, he's doing so much.
Yeah, they've been incredible supporting Starcraft so much. So
they have, yeah.
And they're our title sponsor, so technically it's Shopify TSL 5.
Oh, there you go.
Powered by DreamHack. No, don't want to cut them short either. So yeah, lots of people working on this together.
That's great.
Okay. Well, that about does it with this, guys. Thank you again for coming on the show. It was wonderful. We're going to go to a brief intermission where Cobra's going to throw up some clips for everyone, and then we'll be back with This Week in StarCraft. Well, thank you again, guys, and thank you everyone for watching.
Zerg has been nerfed! Our queens are only 7 range, down from 8. What do we do? 16 spores in every base. Mass queens actually don't make queens. 16 spores in every base. We have to go for Spire now. Protoss to defend the first battlecruiser. Set up the defenses. We're underpowered now. We can't spread creep anymore. Creep is now light. That means bonus damage will be dealt to it. It's going to be easy to clean up. Do everything we can to survive. It's the end times. If anyone who's playing Zerg and you want an easy time, switch away from Zerg. Switch to something else. Queens can't attack anymore. It's fucked. Everything is fucked. Anyone who was good at Zerg and had above 20% win rate has Zerg, you're fucked.
Free Discord hoodie, my Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019 shirt. All of these things I did not buy. They were mailed and given to me, so I'm actually wearing $0 worth of clothes as far as I'm concerned, with my dreadlocks and my scraggly beard with all of the salt and pepper inside of that beard, signifying that I am indeed over the age of 30. You see this man and you're like, yeah, he goes to cocktail parties for sure. When I'm at those cocktail parties, I tell people, look, nice to meet you. My name's Maynard. I have the horniest chat in Twitch. And I don't want you to embarrass me in front of the highest levels of society out there when I'm having those cocktails and rubbing shoulders with those actresses and actors, which are all constantly sliding into my DMs, asking me, Maynard, how did your chat get so horny? I'm like, well, I made them horny, chat. And then they got horny themselves. I started off getting them horny, and then they got themselves over the line, and they do it every day. Free Discord hoodie. My I am extreme.
Got him. Got him! Yes! Ah! I love my brain sometimes. Just sometimes. I gotta admit, that was pretty fucking cheeky. Oh, he didn't see it coming, man. On the high ground. Oh, this guy is just bludgeoning his keyboard right now. There's no fucking way. That was fucking great. It's probably one of the top 5 things I've ever done. Ah.
I actually really round out my income by being a full-time shill for the lie that NASA is selling to everyone that the world is actually round. I am a paid actor for NASA to perpetuate the lie of the round Earth phenomena. The Earth is actually flat, and Obama is a lizard person, and vaccines will actually kill you. But, of course, I'm a paid actor to pretend that all those things are not real. For instance, I am truly a young teenage girl from, I think, Utah is the state I said when I last told this story. I'm a young teenage albino girl called Alice from Utah with a really good voice modulator, a fake Australian accent because Australia doesn't exist. And I even turn the lights off to pretend that it's nighttime when it's not nighttime, when it's actually the morning.
You enjoyed those clips during the brief intermission. We're going to go ahead and jump into This Week in StarCraft. This is not like the new format of the show necessarily, but sometimes we have people who are time crunched, have something else that they have to do. So in situations like that, or like, for instance, when Europeans are on and they're up in the middle of the night, we're just kind of moving this around and trying it out. So any feedback on the placement of, This Week in StarCraft is greatly appreciated. Anyways, expect that most of the time it will be in its regular spot. Let's go ahead and jump into our show notes. Don't forget, you can find this anywhere that the Pylon Show is, especially thepylonshow.com. And if you have tournaments or something like that that you would like in, please join our Discord server and send us some messages. Not me specifically. I won't look at it. Okay, let's do it. Going to page number 3. Upcoming events, some of the things that we'll be covering here. ESL Open Cups, ESL Open Cups AU, Gold Series Team Championship 2020 Spring, and GSL Season 1. All right, moving forward, we have a list of the ESL Open Cups. We also have some Shopify Team Liquid Star League qualifiers listed here. All sorts of tournaments coming up. We also have the point standings there. If you'd like to play some of these tournaments, please go ahead and sign up and give it a try. It's a lot of fun to play against pro gamers and get wrecked. You watch them all the time, you may as well play a game against them. ESL Open Cups AU, looks like Probe takes this one down 3-0 over Pez, Chappie, and Justice Simon, making that top 4. Congrats to Probe. Gold Series Team Championship 2020 Spring. Looks like Dragon Phoenix Gaming is up in the lead with a 4-0 score. Alpha X right behind. Invictus Gaming bringing up the rear right now. You can check this out over on Wardy's channel. We also have the GSL Season 1. We went over this on this show, so won't spend too long. Don't forget, the round of 16 is starting next Wednesday with Scarlet's group. So you definitely want to tune into that. This week in StarCraft. Can't feel any humbleness from him. I don't have any. I love it. Okay. ESL Cup Korea. Korean Cup number 16. Cure defeated Hurricane 3-2 in the finals with Solar and Trap hitting that top 4. Very stacked bracket. Definitely something that you should check out. It's over on Base Trade TV, Cranky Ducklings, and Chicken Man. We also have the EU Cup. Hero Marine finally, after not winning at least one of these tournaments, wins again. 3-0 over U Thermal, who's on quite the resurgence of results lately. In the finals, looks like Bly and Showtime round out that top 4. You can check that out over on Wardy's channel, Chicken Man, Creighton, O Gaming, Indie Take, all sorts of stuff for the EU one. We also have ESL Cup NA. U Thermal takes that one down 3-2 over Goblin in the finals. TLO with a deep finish. Oh, congrats. Look at that. TLO with some good victories in there, even beating the literal god Rotterdam on his way. Drogo also making the top 4. Check that out over on Maynard's stream, as well as several others. The Olimo League, number 189. DRG with the victory. That's so sick. Oh my god. DRG 3-1 over Ragnarok, and he beat Innovation in the round of 4. And he beat Trap in the round of 8. Oh my god. That's so sick. Well, you should really check this out. It looks like Maynard is the one that casted this. And you can get the replays if you subscribe to the Patreon on Oli Moly. Check that out, guys. All right, Kung Fu Cup 2020. Impact 3-2 over True in the finals. We kept saying it was True's last tournament. This is True's last tournament. That's True's last tournament. True is going to the military very shortly here, but it looks like he played another one, made it to the finals. Congrats to him, but Impact took him down. Time and Hurricane rounding out that top 4. You can check it out over on Creighton's and Wardy's channels. All right, we also have the OSC King of the Hill Weekly. It looks like Gerald ends as the final king. This was on Creighton's stream. Check it out. King is awarded $15. All right, Zelnaga's Finest. Looks like Clem beat Mana in the finals 3-0, and Rainer got Rainer 2-0'd Clem. Where was that? Oh, yes, of course. This is the Red Bull tournament where Rainer plays whoever goes ahead and wins the whole thing. So that little rivalry continues to develop. You can check this out. It was cast by Rotterdam and Wardy over at Red Bull stream. All right, we also have the Legacy Weekly Japan. Psyark with another victory over Akira 2-0 in the finals. If you live in Japan, speak Japanese, this is the tournament for you to connect with your community. We also have Sentimiento Latino. And this is number 83. Paco Mike, 3-1 over Dark Unnamed in the finals. 84th is going to be played 8 days from now. If you are from the Latin America, check it out. So a battle for the Americas. Nina ends up taking it down 3-0 over Eggs. Cham and Sinner hitting that top 4. Congrats to Nina for the victory. Liga Cubana de Starcraft 2. Inmolations 3-0 over Ryder in the finals. This is for Cuban citizens to play some Starcraft against each other. If you are Cuban, definitely give it a look. Quite a few players actually signing up. That's really cool. The Grand Platypus Open, we had Gogo Joey 3-2 over Pez in the finals. Demi and Beastork making it into that round of 4. Congrats to Gogo Joey. We also have The Shift. This is over on Creighton's channel. Not sure why it's called The Shift. Anyways, it looks like Clem beat Euthermal in the finals there with Showtime and Lambo. Hitting that top 4 as well. Congrats to Clem on another tournament victory. And Euthermal on another finals. Right, the Global Clan Invitational. Euthermal, Laser, Clem, Rayner advanced the round of 4. It's over on Creighton's stream once again. Check it out. We have Spicy League Season 2. Team Bear Me defeated 6'4", 6,400. Single Horny Ponies defeated NA's Finals and Disc. Tier 3 Goats defeated Team Better Than Jared. Zerg Patch and Jennison defeated Los Vamos. Something in Cyrillic alphabet. I don't know. Very excellent team names, though. This is a tournament made by Killabacaris. Cast over by the Cranky Ducklings. Check it out. The Cock of the Walk. Looks like Bly beat Christianer 3-2 in the finals. Ghosty and Roddy making it into that top 4. Congrats to all. It's over on Chicken Man SC on Twitch. All right. Thermi Cup versus Ewolves. Looks like Euthermal put on another tournament, and Agaham beat Mixu 3-1 in that finals. Congrats to Agaham with that $125 prize pool. That should be, I think, on Euthermal's channel, but I don't have that for you right now, right here. Check it out. 2020 NA Apprentice Cup. We had Creature 3-1 over Starkiller. Last Surprise and Patty Mack rounding out that top 4. Congrats to Creature for the victory. And you can check that out over on the Cranky Ducklings. All right, we have the Championship of Russia. Very deep player pool over there. You can check it out. We have the link to the stream here at vk.com. And a lot of the top Russian players have signed up. So that's something you're going to want to check out if you're interested in the Russian scene. We also have the TSL 5. That's Team Liquid Star League number 5. This is something that was announced just recently. They're running qualifiers all over the place. In fact, some of the qualifiers are starting today, and about 3 hours of Korean qualifier starts. Many of the world's best players are going to be playing in it for a huge prize pool. This is a legendary tournament that Team Liquid runs. You definitely want to watch this. Sponsored by Shopify, like Tilo was talking about earlier. We also have the Pizza Pie Biweekly Season 3 Quarantine Edition. Namshar, 3-2 over Nina, winning his 3rd pizza. Congrats to Namshar, continuing to climb up those ranks. And we also had him kill Starkiller on the way, so he is the truly deserving champion. All right, the 2020 StarCraft 2 Gold Sub-League Weekly Spring Season Tournament. Looks like Time won it over Cyan 4-1 in the finals. We do have a link for the official website for it if you're interested in the Chinese scene. Many of the very best Chinese players played in it, so it would be very interesting for you. Very strong players over there as well. All right, Probots 2020 Season 1, Machine Learning to Predict Battles. How to predict StarCraft 2 battle outcomes using machine learning, bits of code, a new tutorial. It's on the YouTube. I believe this is probably over at ESChamp. Yeah, check out ESChamp.com for more if you're interested in StarCraft 2 bots. All right, the Sea Duckling Open. Their bronze through diamond tournament is back with number 77 of the Sea Duckling Open, and that's going to be on May 1st, tomorrow. So take a look-see at that. If you are between bronze and diamond, it's going to be on the Cranky Ducks channel. Right, this week in Brood War. The Brood War G's Weekly. It looks like DeWalt actually beat Zealot in the finals. That is a gigantic victory. Zealot is an ASL level player, in fact, who defeated Boneth on his way. So yeah, congrats to DeWalt. It looks like Gorinich and Boneth rounded out that top 4. We also have ASL Season 9. It finished up with Queen defeating Light 4-1. It was one of our weakest finals, to be perfectly honest with you all. It was definitely a bit of a disappointment. Queen really, really smashed face here. But the rest of the tournament was fantastic. So definitely a great season of ASL. We will be back later on this year with number 10. The STPL Shannon Tank Pro League Season 3. This is going on over at STPL TV on Twitch. This is Kix's Team League, cast by him and Rapid most of the time. If you want to watch some foreign team leagues, and they actually have some Korean teams that play as well, check it out over on STPL TV. STPL needs your maps. The Map Man looks for your assistance. Looks like Kix throwing out a request for some maps. He really likes to host tournaments on crazy maps, so check it out on the Team Liquid forums. All right, this week in Awesome, the Stefano game. Working on the development of my first game. Give it a try and tell me your high score. There are still bugs and the website is empty. Just play the game once and refresh to try again. You only have one life. It looks like Stefano has made a game and is allowing people to play it and posting their scores. So it looks like Namshar, our pizza winner, is ranked very highly there, quite a bit above everyone else. So congrats to him. Check out Stefano's game. That's really cool. All right, Caster Calls with Zombie Grub. This is Zombie Grub's new podcast that she's been putting out really regularly. Episode number 4 looks like it had Tempo on it. Tempo's been around since the very beginning, is well known for his StarCraft-themed songwriting, and people might not realize, but he has been casting for a really long time. And she talks with him about his history in the StarCraft 2 scene, asking for opportunities and how StarCraft 2 pros need more steel chairs to beat each other with. Tempo, a fan of wrestling as well. Check that out. Zombie Grub posts it on her Twitter and everything like that. I haven't listened to the podcast yet, but she's getting some great guests on there, so I'm sure it's quite good. Okay. We also have The Pig Show. And Pig wearing what looks like a ballerina's shirt. All right. Looks like he did a great job at doubling a $3,000 goal for Feeding America. That's awesome. Congrats to everyone who helped Pig out on that. And that is it. That's this week in StarCraft. So again, thank you for tuning into the Pylon Show and staying around for this week in StarCraft. A big thanks to our entire staff at the Pylon Show. Can't do it without you. As for me, check me out at linktr.ee/Artosis. This is a place where you can just kind of find links to everything I have. And it's mobile friendly. It just kind of has everything has been congregated into one spot, so I don't have to name like 10 links. We also have one for the Pylon Show. We have one for Cobra's company as well that runs all this and all that stuff. So check all that stuff out. I'll be back on stream again tomorrow as well. Thank you everyone for your support. Again, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/The Pylon Show. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you next week.